Chapter 563. Within the Grade 5 Black Lotus, the original Grade 4 Black Lotus had already completely fused together. There was no barrier between them. Waves of desire surged into the Grade 5 Black Lotus. As the Black Lotus rotated, it was continuously converted into royal true force, increasing the cultivation base of the Grade 5 Black Lotus. However, its luster was dim. Inside, it did not absorb any kind of desire energy. It was still empty like a sealed box. It existed independently and did not really integrate with the whole Black Lotus. It looked like the Black Lotus in front of him was a 5th grade. In fact, its real power was only at the peak of the 4th grade. The situation before him was actually the most normal situation. The 5th grade would store a new kind of power of desire. It was the 5th grade desire power. In the past, the first 3 had already been passed. He only needed to go through the test of the realm of desire and create the 9 Huangji true acupoints one by one. Then, he could cultivate each level to perfection. But now, the divine essence filled the demon vein. The demon vein could not absorb new desire power. Only by breaking through and refining the divine essence could he create new Huangji true acupoints on the new demon vein. Then, with the help of the true acupoints, he could absorb new desire power and pour it into the 5th grade Black Lotus. Once the desire power filled the 5th grade Black Lotus, it would trigger the test of the realm of desire. Once passed, the Black Lotus would merge with each other and become one. He would officially step into the 5th transformation of the demon core. The Black Lotus would once again transform into a 6th grade Black Lotus. Now, in my Black Lotus primordial spirit, 4 supernatural powers have reached perfection. These 4 supernatural power talismans absorb vitality and strengthen the talismans. When my demon core reaches the 9th transformation and breaks through the bottleneck to become a demon saint, my Black Lotus primordial spirit will transform into a Black Lotus primordial spirit. These 4 supernatural power talismans will also transform into supernatural power seeds. The supernatural powers will reach perfection. 10 years later, it will be the time when the 100 races return. At that time, the entire source continent will undergo earth-shattering changes. There will be a huge revolution. If my cultivation can increase, I'm afraid the entire demon race will be enslaved and tortured. A thought flowed through his mind. He shouted inwardly, Huangji true force, Emperor Tao, Tao of desire. Break through the thorns. Break through the pulse. With a thought, the Grade 5 Black Lotus in the Yarefining Cauldron began to spin violently. On the surface of the Black Lotus, mysterious runes glowed with strange black light, floated up, and danced around the Black Lotus. A burst of golden yellow, true power gushed out from the Black Lotus like a rolling river. Rushing out of the demon manor, Zhang Xian began traversing through the 4 demonic veins that he had already cleared. In the blink of an eye, he was already standing before the 5th demonic vein. Lin Fan could see that the 5th demonic vein was filled with a 7-colored divine splendor. It was like a crystal that completely blocked the entire demonic vein. Within the divine splendor, it exuded the true essence of an instant of eternity. This was the innate divine ability that Shunshi was born with fleeting youth. It exuded a strange charm. This charm was almost identical to the aura of the eternal light that he had seen in the Kingdom of Eternity. However, one contained the true meaning of eternity in an instant, while the other was immortal in eternity. There would be no change in eternity. Time and space would remain immortal. Both of them contained the true meaning of eternity. However, they seemed to be 2 completely different extremes. When he sensed the charm of the divine spirit, Di Shurtian's mind seemed to have been struck by lightning, and he had a flash of inspiration. He said, Fleeting youth is eternal. If I send this divine splendor into the divine eye of heaven's punishment, and let the divine eye absorb the power of this moment, comprehend the laws, and merge them together, wouldn't I have a chance to obtain the fleeting youth unique to Sheer? Fleeting youth was eternal. It contained the true meaning of time and was one of the most wonderful and heaven-defying divine abilities between heaven and earth. Its power was so strong that it could control a person's life to bloom in an instant and wither away like a fleeting youth. He quickly thought about the benefits he could get by doing this. In an instant, he made a decision. If I use this divine splendor to open the imperial true aperture, it would be like using a butcher's knife to kill a pig. Although the divine splendor and heaven's punishment may not give birth to a new divine ability, there's at least a 50% chance. It's worth a gamble. If I succeed, I can obtain the power of an instant. Even if I fail, I will only lose a portion of the divine splendor. The decision of which was more important was made in an instant. Pulse breaking. Boom, boom, boom. All of this took a long time to describe, but in fact, it happened in the blink of an eye. Tion had already made a decision in his heart. Immediately, without hesitation, the imperial true force condensed together and turned into a long awl. It fiercely rushed towards the fifth demon vein and hit the solidified divine splendor crystal in the demon vein. Suddenly, the divine splendor crystal burst out with an extremely strong potential, blocking the imperial true force and emitting a 7-colored halo, preventing it from moving forward. The strong resistance made it difficult for the imperial true force to move forward. Pulse breaking. Pulse breaking. The first attempt failed, but he wasn't discouraged. If the demonic veins could be broken so easily, then all those years ago, he wouldn't have been able to block the invasion of the force of desire and instantly seal all the demonic veins in his body, awakening him from his trance. If the first time is not enough, I will try twice. If the second time is not enough, I will try thrice. Tion focused his mind and urged the imperial true force to rush towards the demon vein again and again, continuously hitting the tough divine splendor crystal. Furthermore, he did not use all of his power at once, but directly split the imperial true force into 3 parts. When the first part failed, immediately, the second part took over and rushed forward. The cycle was endless, and the continuous impact was endless. Patience. Tion was never lacking in patience. Outside his body, countless pores opened up, emitting a strong devouring power, continuously pulling the surrounding heaven and earth origin chi into his body. The void above his head turned pitch black, and the power of desire poured into Tion's body like a funnel. In the process of breaking the demon veins, not only was the imperial true force not depleted, but as time passed, it became stronger and stronger. During the impact, its power became more and more vigorous. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, after a few thousand consecutive impacts, Kacha! Cracks began to appear on the divine crystals that were blocking the demonic veins. Under the impact of the Emperor's true force, these cracks quickly grew larger and began to emit bursts of rainbow-colored glaze-like brilliance. The divine splendor was refined, crushed, and turned into drops of rainbow-colored liquid. These drops of divine splendor were immediately wrapped by the imperial true force and sent into the heaven's punishment divine eye. For a moment, the purple gold eyes of the heaven's punishment divine eye had traces of rainbow-colored light flowing. A mysterious Tao rhyme was integrated into the heaven's punishment divine eye. However, if he wanted the heaven's punishment divine eye to give birth to a new remarkable power, this was simply a drop in the bucket. Refine imperial true force. Melt the divine splendor for me. The 5th grade black lotus began to circulate faster and faster. In an instant, it had doubled in speed. The true force that surged out was even more ferocious. The blocked demon vein was opened. Immediately, like a raging fire, it could not be suppressed. Drops of divine splendor were constantly refined and integrated into the heaven's punishment divine eye. The loosening of the divine splendor immediately caused the 5th demon vein to begin to awaken. Boom, boom, boom. The demonic meridian gave off a powerful attractive force, causing the sea of desire above his head to surge into the demonic meridian. And the moment it entered his body, Sakura had already understood that this new power of desire before his eyes was actually sea. Of the 6 desires, it was the desire to see. The desire to see was a desire to peep. When a person was curious and moved, it would naturally lead to desire. The desire to peep was unavoidable. The eyes were the window to the soul. The eyes were also the source of the desire to see. One wanted to see beautiful scenery and the natural posture of flying birds. This was unavoidable, unless you lost your sight and became completely blind. Perhaps only then could he avoid it. Once the demonic vein was opened, this new power of desire immediately surged into his body like a tidal wave. After flowing through the demonic vein, it entered the demonic abode. Like a swallow returning to its nest, it entered the previously empty fifth rank of the Black Lotus. As soon as he entered, he saw that the originally dim and lightless Black Lotus of the fifth grade immediately emitted bursts of black light. Waves of desire surged in like a tide. Good, good, good. When I create the first Emperor's true aperture, I can make this absorption speed even faster. Ian's heart was calm. Once again, he sped up the refining of the divine essence. Every time he refined a drop, he sent it directly into the divine punishment. This refining lasted for a whole month. Finally, 1/9 of the divine essence that filled the fifth demonic vein was refined. Then he stopped refining. Using the unique method in the Book of the Emperor, shocking the world, he began to nourish the demonic vein. Small branches appeared on the demonic vein and quickly spread into the surrounding flesh and blood. The intersection between these branches and the main demonic vein was the acupuncture point. With regards to opening apertures, Sakura was already very familiar with it. However, it took him a month to complete it. Once the Emperor's true aperture was opened, the speed of the absorption of the power of desire suddenly increased by more than 10 times. The vast power of desire continued to enter the Black Lotus. Time flashed, and a year passed quietly. Outside his body, the boundless power of desire strangely disappeared without a trace. His eyes, which were originally closed, opened. There was a flash of light in his eyes. He said coldly, "Ming, did the divine souls of the human race that we plundered in the God's Fall abyss hand over their cultivation methods?" Lunatic D, don't worry. With me, Ming, around, no matter how stubborn this world is, it will be chiseled open. Some people can't withstand the punishment and have begun to spit out the cultivation methods they know. Ming said without humility. Also, I've found a way to cultivate the perfect world seed. Now that your body is full of power of desire, as long as you enter the state of desire, you can break through at any time. Now is the best time to cultivate the world seed. Today's first update has been delivered. Brothers, let's do it. We were raped last night. Although we are still on the monthly vote list, the gap is not big. Everyone, help us up. Those who have monthly votes, help us. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 564. Good. In order to obtain a perfect world seed, it was worth it no matter how great the price was. I have hundreds of thousands of life source seeds. I don't believe I can't nurture a perfect world seed. Tian's eyes flashed with a ruthless glint. If a high-grade world seed could give birth to a divine item, then a perfect world seed would definitely give birth to a divine item. If a divine item was born, then his inner world would definitely become stronger at an unimaginable speed. The benefits were immeasurable. Isn't it just a life source seed? I don't have anything else, but I have as many life source seeds as I want. I don't believe I can't nurture a perfect world seed with thousands or even tens of thousands of life source seeds. Tisk, I'm really looking forward to it. An ordinary world source seed is enough to make countless experts scramble for it. If it's a perfect world source seed, how shocking would that be? I'm afraid if this spread out, even peerless experts would be tempted. Dar said with a strange voice, "Good. I'll pass the method to nurture a world source seed to you." That madman from ancient times used this method to nurture a mid-grade source seed into a high-grade source seed. After opening up his inner world, he even gave birth to a divine item. However, How could that madman's wealth compare to yours? In this world, apart from the Tree of Life, Sakura was the only one who had the most source of life in this world. Sakura had the terrifying amount of source of life in the hundreds of thousands. Speaking of who could nurture a perfect world seed, who else could it be but him? With a flash of bloody light, Dark transmitted the method to nurture a world seed into D. Shurtian's mind. There wasn't much information inside, so he quickly skimmed through it in an instant. Life alter. Seeing this, Sakura's eyes couldn't help but widen in astonishment. He was a little frightened, but with his temperament, he quickly regained his composure and murmured, "Madman, he is indeed a madman. He actually wants to use a pure life source to refine an altar. Although the altar is only the size of a human head, it would require at least thousands of life source seeds to refine it. What an astonishing amount of wealth." He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. The person who had thought of cultivating the world seed was indeed a madman. Just one altar alone required thousands of life source seeds. This number was simply an unimaginable amount of wealth. Even the top 10 immortal sects would definitely not be able to take out such a sum. And all of this was just to refine an altar. On the altar, there were 108 grooves for the source of life. This was equivalent to putting in 108 source seeds at once. Who in the world could support such a consumption? The refining method was not complicated. Even D. Shurtian could easily refine it. No wonder there has never been a perfect world source seed in this world. With this kind of consumption, even an unparalleled expert would instantly go bankrupt and become a pauper, D. Shurtian said bitterly. It was unknown how many source seeds he would have to consume this time. Even he felt the pinch. TSK, lunatic emperor. In this world, only you have the ability to do such a thing. Hurry up, I can't wait to see what the perfect world source seed looks like. Underworld licked his lips and couldn't help but urge. Let's do it. D. Shurtian gritted his teeth slightly, and a determined expression appeared on his face. He didn't hesitate anymore. He waved his long sleeves. Instantly, in front of him, treasure boxes made of jade flew out from his storage ring one after another. In each treasure box, there were 100 source seeds of life. A total of 100 jade boxes flew out. In other words, there were 10,000 source seeds of life. Heaven, punishment, divine, eye, open. D. Shurtian stretched out his hand and touched his forehead. Instantly, on the purple mark between his eyebrows, a purple light flashed rapidly and quickly separated into two sides. A purple gold, I glanced indifferently at everyone. Heaven, punishment, divine flame. Chi-chi. From the divine eye, a divine light burst out. It didn't spread out. Instead, it condensed in front of him and turned into a ball of purple flame. This ball of purple flame naturally revealed a vast divine power. Heaven, punishment, divine flame. Smelt the source seeds for me. D. Shurtian opened the jade clouds one by one. With a wave of his hand, 100 jade-green source seeds of life immediately landed on the divine flame. The source seeds of life contained boundless vitality. However, under the refinement of the divine flame, there was no hesitation at all. They quickly melted. As they melted, the vitality contained in them didn't dissipate at all. The 100 source seeds turned into liquid one after another and fused together. They formed a ball of jade-green liquid. D. Shurtian's 10 fingers, however, instantly turned into countless afterimages as they moved rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he condensed many hand seals and struck them into the ball of liquid. They turned into countless mysterious talismans and merged into the ball of liquid. One by one, the jade boxes were sent into the divine flame and melted into liquid. Not long after, when 2,000 source seeds were sent in, D. Shurtian quickly formed hand seals and pulled out countless beautiful afterimages and struck them into the ball of liquid. Boom, boom, boom. There was no abnormality. The ball of liquid magically turned into a small altar the size of a human head amidst the jade-green divine light. On the altar, countless mysterious jade-green talismans constantly emitted beautiful colors. In this small altar, there was a huge wealth of 2,000 source seeds. Source seed of the world. With a flip of his hand, a light flashed in his hand, and an ancient jade box landed on his palm. He gently opened it. In the jade box, there was a seed that looked like a crystal. It emitted a transparent crystal luster and was the size of a thumb. On the seed, there were veins that seemed to contain profound paths. Between the lines, there was a vague fluctuation of space. It was so perfect that it didn't look like a seed at all. Instead, it looked like a beautiful piece of art. It gave people a feeling of liking at first glance. This was a low-grade source seed of the world. Lunatic D, quick, try to see if this life altar has any effect. If I'm not wrong, then according to that lunatic's estimation, it would require at least 108 source seeds to upgrade from low grade to high grade. To upgrade from medium grade to high grade, it would require 1,080 source seeds. It would increase by 10 times. To upgrade from high grade to perfect grade, it would require 1,800 source seeds. Dark shouted excitedly. His two dragon eyes were filled with anticipation. Ugh! When Sakura heard this, his breath was completely stuck in his chest, unable to come out. His heart also stopped abruptly. Even he was frightened by that huge number. However, a look of determination flashed across his face. No matter how big the price is, I have to give it a try. He made up his mind and placed the life altar in front of him. He quickly took out the source seeds of life and inserted them into the grooves. Then he placed the source seed of the world in the center of the altar. The power of life, nurturing all things, the power of creation, the sublimation of the world. With a serious expression, Tion quickly formed mysterious seals and imprinted them on the life altar. Boom! Boom! At this moment, the life altar seemed to have come to life. The altar that was originally on the ground suddenly radiated resplendent divine light. Strands of jade-green light constantly shot out, rising into the air and floating in the air. Countless jade-green talismans flashed on the surface of the altar. It emitted a strange Tao aura. It was as if there was an inconceivable power coming from the altar. The aura coming from the altar was not ordinary at all. It was an incomparably intimate feeling, as if one had met their mother. It contained endless paths, and it was as if the entire world was being reborn from this power. It contained the true essence of life, the power of creation. This is the power of creation. What a pure power of creation. So that's how it is. The life altar's function is to reverse the power of life into the power of creation, the mother of all things. This is a mighty power that can create the world. If this power of creation is injected into the source seed of the world, it will cleanse the impurities within. It will elevate it. It can really elevate the quality of the source seed instantly. Tion's eyes widened on the spot. It was as if a bolt of lightning had flashed through his mind. The power of creation was not an ordinary power. Even a trace of it was enough to give life to a corpse. It could mold mud into all kinds of life forms. It could create things out of nothing. Unbelievable. His eyes stared at the altar in the air without blinking. He saw that the altar was emitting endless power of creation. The power of creation was quickly injected into the source seed of the world on the altar. Immediately, the source seed of the world emitted a dazzling crystal light. Moreover, the light became softer and softer as the power of creation flowed in. There was a beauty in the light that made one worried. It became rounder and rounder. Not a single flaw could be found on it. The mysterious patterns on the seed also became clearer and clearer. If the patterns were very simple before, they could be clearly seen now. These patterns contained profound principles. Woo woo woo. At this moment, a strange wailing sound suddenly came from the air. In the sky, above the altar, terrifying black clouds quickly appeared and spread out in all directions in an instant. They covered the entire sky. It caused the entire world to suddenly darken. Gotcha! Strands of terrifying lightning quickly shuttled through the clouds, as if there were millions of silver snakes wildly dancing in the clouds. Waves of pressure that seemed like the heavenly Tao surged out from all directions, pressing down on the life altar. Heavenly tribulation. Tian looked up at the terrifying clouds and frowned. The source seed of the world's metamorphosis has attracted the heavenly tribulation. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Sai, my buddy came to me just now. He broke up with his girlfriend and planned to go to the bar. I was worried about him, so I had no choice but to accompany him. There is no third update today. However, it will still be the third update tomorrow. This is an accident. I will fight until the end this month. Brothers, let's do it. Let's increase the monthly votes. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 565. The appearance of the heavenly tribulation was beyond Tian's expectations. However, on second thought, it was understandable. The source seed of the world was an unparalleled treasure between heaven and earth. It was a mystical treasure that could give birth to one's inner world. Any one of these treasures could arouse the desire of countless people and cause them to fight to the death for it. Having an inner world and not having one were two completely different things. An inner world was a necessary threshold to become an unparalleled expert. It was a ticket. This was because when an ancient powerhouse broke through to become an unparalleled expert, the entire world would reject him. At that moment, he would not be able to borrow any power from the outside world. It was as if the entire world wanted to crush him. This was because what he had to do was to transcend the 6 paths of reincarnation and break free from the restraints of the heavenly axiom. Jump out of the 6 paths and 5 elements. He had to be on par with the heavenly axiom. He had to become an existence that even the heavenly axiom could not kill. Let me ask you, how can this piece of heaven and earth contain you? If it could not tolerate him, he would be killed. The moment he broke through to become an unparalleled expert, the entire world would judge him and launch a heavenly punishment. If he cannot break free from the restraints and shatter the vacuum, he would be crushed by the world and completely annihilated. At that time, he would not be able to borrow any power. He could only rely on himself and how much he had accumulated. It would determine whether he could break free from the restraints. At that time, the support of an inner world could be estimated how important it was to have an inner world. At the crucial moment, he could even burn the world in exchange for supreme power. Every single one of these treasures was a unique treasure. They were treasures that could not be exchanged for even with wealth. Such a rare treasure was actually going to be upgraded and transformed. This was simply going against the will of the heavens. It was going against the operation of the heavenly axiom. For such a thing, the world would naturally sense it and send down a heavenly tribulation to completely destroy and erase this thing that should not exist. 5 elements, heavenly tribulation. Tian glanced at the tribulation cloud above his head and saw that it was changing rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a 5-colored tribulation cloud. The flashing lightning in the tribulation cloud also had different colors. A terrifying pressure surged out from the tribulation cloud like a landslide. The pressure froze the entire air as if an ancient ferocious beast was preying on its prey. It was glaring. Ordinary ancient demon monarchs would be pressed to the ground by such pressure. He couldn't move at all. Only greater demons would be able to withstand it. However, Tian was no ordinary demon king. He had the Tao of Emperor and the Tao of Desire in his body. He cultivated the book of the shocking Emperor, which gave him the aura of a supreme emperor. When he stood on the ground, he was indomitable, and no one in the world could make him bow. He coldly glanced at the tribulation clouds. A ray of light flashed in his hand, and a jet-black jade zither appeared in front of him. The 7 sins demonic zither had been nurtured in the demonic abode, constantly absorbing the power of desire. At this moment, the demonic zither was completely filled. The power of desire flowed like water in the zither, creating ripples. On the body of the zither, a yellow earth spirit bead, and a green wood spirit bead were perfectly embedded on the sides of the zither. The 9 strings on the zither had been replaced long ago. The dragon's tendons were not as good as silk and were more suitable for making zither strings. For this, Sky Silkworm directly contributed the 10,000-year-old Sky Silkworm silk that he had collected for countless years. This was the best zither string material, second only to the purple gold jade silk. After the replacement, the power of the jade zither increased imperceptibly. The power of the middle-grade magic treasure demonic zither was comparable to that of a superior-grade magic treasure. Now it had reached a kind of bottleneck, reaching the peak of middle-grade magic treasure, and was about to start upgrading. As long as another spirit bead of heaven and earth was found, the 7 Sins demonic zither would instantly upgrade to a superior-grade magic treasure, and once again control a new kind of origin power. TSK. The 7 Sins demonic zither is not simple. It is said that in the ancient times, the group of cursementers who cultivated curses joined forces with countless powerhouses and deduced for tens of thousands of years before they could deduce a supreme treasure. It was to match the mysterious movement between heaven and earth that existed since ancient times, but no one knew its origin, the 7 Sins divine melody, and it was tailor-made. The 9 strings corresponded to the 9 spirit beads of heaven and earth. Once gathered, with the power of the 9 spirit beads, it would instantly transform the 7 Sins demonic zither and achieve the most incredible thing in heaven and earth, turning chaos, reversing the acquired to the innate. It would create a miracle in heaven and earth and upgrade an acquired spiritual treasure to an innate spiritual treasure. TSK. Those guys are really a bunch of lunatics. Ming let out a strange cry and sighed with emotion. Her words couldn't help but reveal a wisp of dense fear and detest. She'd suffered a painful lesson, and it was those old curse masters who'd caused her to be confined within the heavenly tribulation at this moment. Reversing the acquired to the innate was something that even peerless powerhouses couldn't do. This group of cursementers actually dared to think of a way to use the origin power of the 9 spirit beads to reverse the innate. This kind of idea was really amazing. However, there was no lack of reason. There was a possibility of success. After all, the 9 spirit beads were born by heaven and earth, and each one was an unparalleled treasure, more precious and rare than the source seed of the world. In fact, the 9 spirit beads had the ability to replace the source seed of the world and use it as the source seed on the spot to open up a world inside. According to the attribute, the water spirit bead could open up a world that completely belonged to water, and so on. It was wonderful, but it was really a waste. It was a waste of natural resources. The 9 spirit beads formed heaven and earth and nurtured all things. Once the 9 spirit beads were gathered, it was possible to reverse the universe, reverse the chaos, and let the 7 Sins demonic zither give birth to the power of chaos, and use the power of chaos to cleanse the zither and reverse the acquired to the innate. There was almost a 50% chance. Reverse to the innate? A strange look flashed across D. Shurtian's face, but he didn't lose himself because of it. He just remembered it in his heart and shook his head. Let's talk about these things later. Now is not the time to care about it. Let's deal with this heavenly tribulation first. That's right, you have to be careful. Although the life altar can convert the power of life into the power of creation and upgrade the source seed of the world, the altar itself doesn't have any defensive power. Once it is hit by the heavenly tribulation, it will immediately be turned into dust, and even the source seed of the world will be damaged on the spot. You can only rely on yourself to deal with this heavenly tribulation. Ming threw out another piece of bad news. Whoever wants to destroy the sacrificial altar, this king will kill that person. Tion's eyes flashed with a cold glint. His gaze toward the heavenly tribulation was filled with indifference. With a wave of his hand, the numinous sky throne appeared behind him. He sat on the throne and directly flew into the air, floating above the life altar. The 7 Sins demonic zither appeared in front of him. Light flashed on it. Clang, clang. His 10 slender fingers were placed on the zither strings, and his fingers were filled with tension as he casually plucked the strings. Suddenly, a rush of zither music suddenly sounded, and there was a fierce, murderous aura in the music. Every sound of the zither seemed to be able to stir up the blood in the listener's body, causing it to boil violently. As soon as the sound of the zither started, his 10 fingers immediately turned into an illusion, and the strings rippled like waves. In the sound of the zither, a fierce, murderous aura swept out in all directions like a tide. Suddenly, it made people feel as if the things in front of them had changed, as if they were in an ancient battlefield where flesh and blood were fighting. The song of slaughter, kill the wolf, boom, boom, boom. Between heaven and earth, there was the sound of a strong army of killing. Swords whistled, horses neighed, and iron hooves trampled mountains and rivers. The murderous aura pierced through the sun and the moon, shaking the stars. As the sound of the zither became more and more urgent, suddenly, a huge ancient battlefield appeared outside his body. Di-Shirtian sat on the numinous sky throne, overseeing the battlefield. On the battlefield, countless soldiers and horses appeared, wearing armor, holding weapons, and standing proudly below them. Countless soldiers exuded a strong, murderous aura. Even their eyes were blood-red. The horses below them were not ordinary horses, but Pegasi with wings on their backs. Orderly square formations were arranged in front of them. Kill, kill, kill. Under Di-Shirtian's command, this army of 100,000 flew into the air, roaring and charging toward the tribulation clouds in the sky. Under the magical power of 7 sins, their armor was supported by the power of the earth spirit bead, and their bodies had the toughness of the wood spirit bead. In addition, the sound waves were extremely sharp, the ability to cut through heaven and earth. This army of 100,000 was simply an unstoppable killing army. Crack! The tribulation clouds also reacted in an instant. Countless golden swords and golden sabers fell down crazily like snowflakes. Among these sabers and weapons, countless terrifying electric lights jumped violently, and when they fell, the space under the sabers was easily cut into terrifying cracks. The flashing electric lights on them directly annihilated the void. Terrifying. This time, the 5 elements' heavenly tribulation appeared in the form of sabers and weapons. This kind of attack was even more terrifying than thunder and lightning. The attack power was unparalleled. It was so overwhelming that no one could avoid it. Boom, boom, boom. However, Di-Shirtian's Kill and Break the Wolf was a zither song that was born for killing. It condensed images in the void with the zither intent. It was an even more shocking method. Every warrior was born for killing. It had incredible destructive power. The two collided with each other, and suddenly, a terrifying destructive power erupted. The chi of heaven and earth collapsed, and lightning shuttled everywhere in the void. The power of the 5 elements' heavenly tribulation was completely displayed, annihilating a part of the void. If other monster kings were in this situation, they would probably be killed on the spot. Even the great monster's expressions changed. The soldiers advanced dauntlessly, waving the weapons in their hands, and killing shook the sky. The weapons that filled the sky were shattered one by one, and many were instantly crushed into powder by the bombardment of the weapons. However, these soldiers were almost unstoppable under the support of the 2 spirit beads. They cut open a path, rushed into the tribulation clouds, and slashed wildly and domineeringly scattered the tribulation clouds. Kill and break the wolf against the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation, disperse. TSK, TSK. This killing song of yours is really powerful. The higher your cultivation base, the more powerful the song will be. The sound wave technique is shapeless and intangible. If you can cultivate it to a high level, it will indeed have unparalleled and terrifying power. Dark praised. However, Di-Shirtian was not in such a good mood. He looked at the dissipating tribulation clouds in silence. Heavenly tribulation? This was probably just a premonition. I had something to do last night, so I couldn't finish the third update. It's my fault. I apologize here. I will definitely finish the third update today. I beg for votes. Those who have monthly votes, please help me. Don't be attacked by others. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 566. Heavenly Tribulation. Tian looked at the life altar and saw that the enormous power of creation had all surged into the source seed of the world in the middle of the altar. There were mysterious patterns on the source seed of the world, and each of them seemed to contain infinite principles. Among them, there were traces of the path of heaven and earth. The source seed of the world had evolved to the middle grade. The 5 elements heavenly tribulation has already been attracted when it was promoted to the middle level. It seems that helping the world seed to improve its grade is simply a kind of heaven-defying action that goes against the workings of heaven and earth. Tian pondered and said, since it can trigger the 5 elements heavenly tribulation when it evolves to the upper grade, won't there be 9 levels of heavenly tribulation when it evolves to the middle grade? If it really evolves to perfection, will it attract the most terrifying heavenly punishment in the legends? It wasn't impossible. One had to know that the evolution of the source seed of the world was too terrifying. Even heaven and earth couldn't tolerate such behavior. It was going against the laws of nature. Speaking of which, it's possible. Ming was instantly astounded as well, and she pondered deeply for a moment before she said, shit. I was really too rash this time. You were able to easily resist the 5-element heavenly tribulation from before, but the heavenly tribulation you'll attract when you advance to the high rank will definitely be extremely terrifying. Perhaps even heaven demons would fear it. I remember that when that madman was evolving the source seed of the world, he asked 3 ancient giants to help protect it. In the end, only one of the 3 experts walked out. The other 2 were never seen again. It seems that they must have been attacked by the heavenly tribulation. Even the ancient giants were killed. Otherwise, we should wait until the 1,000 Demon City is completed to upgrade the source seed of the world. We should set up the God-restricting sphere and all kinds of formations and restrictions, and then use the power of the 1,000 Demon City to block the terrifying heavenly tribulation. Ming stopped instigating at this time and started to persuade him. After all, this was too dangerous. With Tian's current strength, it was indeed not enough to block the increasingly powerful heavenly tribulation. Even a heavenly punishment might appear in the future. If he really attracted the heavenly punishment, he might even be killed on the spot. No. Originally, Ming's suggestion should have been the most conservative method, but on the contrary, Tian lowered his brows and pondered for a moment. Then, he suddenly opened his eyes and firmly rejected it. He said in a deep voice, I still have a trump card. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and touched his forehead. The purple vertical mark immediately flashed with divine light. Heavenly punishment, divine eyes? Could it be that you want to borrow the power of the century slave seal again and use the cultivation of Tian, Can, and Huang Quan to instantly raise your cultivation to the heavenly demon realm? Ming frowned slightly and said, even though the ability of the century slave seal is extremely miraculous and can allow you to fight against a formidable opponent. However, you only have 3 chances to use such a divine ability in your life. After the 3rd time, he used it again. This time, he directly burned the primordial spirits of Sky Silkworm and Huang Quan. His primordial spirit collapsed, and he died on the spot. He already used it once in the God's Fall Abyss. 2 more times. He would never have such an opportunity again. This was his last resort to save his life. Moreover, even if you rush to the heavenly demon realm, you might not be able to resist the heavenly punishment. Although the century slave seal was powerful, its restrictions were also not small. For example, this kind of heaven-defying method that could borrow the power of others, the restrictions were even more shocking. 3 times, there were only 3 chances. Once the 3rd time was used, the century slave seal would collapse if he forcibly used it again. Even the person who was implanted with this kind of slave seal would die instantly. 2 times, there were only 2 chances left. It was simply his last resort to save his life. It was an unconventional deterrent force like nuclear weapons. At the critical moment, it was his greatest reliance and foundation. Every time was precious. The first time he used it, he would snatch the endless treasures in front of him and increase the foundation of the 1,000-demon city by an unknown amount. It was enough to support the complete construction of the 1,000-demon city. The benefits were immeasurable. Now, he had to use it again. At this point, Ming obviously did not agree. No. Suddenly, Ming rolled his eyes and said in surprise, "Heavenly punishment, divine eyes? Heavenly punishment?" Ming's eyes suddenly opened wide. His 2 dragon eyes were about to pop out and fall to the ground. With a look of disbelief, he said in horror, "Could it be? Are you guessing that the heavenly punishment divine eyes on you are related to the legendary heavenly punishment that judges all living beings? It's possible. It's really possible. Legend has it that the heavenly punishment appears in the shape of an eye. Oh my God, could it be that those old bastards were so daring? Could it be that they directly captured a divine punishment and refined it into this eye? Lunatics, they are all King lunatics." Ming waved his body crazily in the nether prison, and his dragon whiskers kept waving. His eyes were full of disbelief. Obviously, he could not believe the inference in front of him. Could it be that the Cursemancer really imprisoned a heavenly punishment eye and refined it like a magic treasure? Whether it is or not, the heavenly punishment divine eyes must be related to it. Tian said with unusual certainty. This was because every time he used the heavenly punishment divine eyes, he had a strong feeling that he was in control of the heavenly Tao. It was as if he was above the heavens, looking down on all living beings, and could easily wipe out countless existences. All living beings were like ants. This was what he could feel in the heavenly punishment divine eyes. If the 2 are really related, perhaps we can use it to easily pass the last stage of the heavenly punishment. However, the second heavenly tribulation needs to be blocked by us. Sakura's eyes flashed with wisps of wisdom. The 100-generation slave imprint was too powerful. Unless he had no other choice, he would never use it. If he wasted it just to raise the grade of the world's source seed, even he wouldn't be able to forgive him. We have to survive the second heavenly punishment. There might be other ways. The corner of Tian's mouth pulled out a meaningful arc. He did not immediately start to upgrade the life altar. Instead, he sat down and recovered the energy in his body. He turned and left the 4th heaven. He entered the 3rd heaven. At this moment, the demon city had been moved to the 3rd heaven. The space-time reversal here was 100 times. Looking at the 9 treasure mountains, at this moment they had been leveled. A large number of treasures were sent into the Imperial Treasure House, according to their respective grades. All of a sudden, the originally empty treasure trove became full. However, the treasure mountains were gone, but in the empty square, there were 5 more 10,000 blade mountains. The discarded treasures and weapons that were selected from the treasures were all piled up here. There was also a large number of spirit ores that were continuously transported to the demon city. These spirit ores were piled up in another place. And in the demon city, 2 new pavilions were built, the Forging Pavilion and the Alchemy Pavilion. In the Forging Pavilion, it was mainly a place to refine all kinds of raw materials, as well as to refine magic tools, magic treasures, and divine weapons. This was an important place that Tian had ordered to be built. In the Forging Pavilion, there was a treasure that was plundered from the 10,000 treasures Red Tide, the 9 dragons' heaven-burning cauldron. The flames inside were simply the most precious treasures that all weapon refiners dreamed of. The magic treasures that were refined would naturally have the aura of a true dragon. Refining magic tools and magic treasures was not only twice the result with half the effort, but also had the magical power to increase the grade. At this moment, a large number of spirit ores were being continuously transported in by the strong men of the Ox clan. They were being sent into the cauldron and refined by the 9 dragons' heaven-burning cauldron. All the impurities were quickly quenched. They obtained pieces of pure spirit ores. Then, they were placed into a special treasure box and transported to the imperial treasure house. In the alchemy pavilion, there was also a cauldron. That cauldron was also a treasure that was not inferior to the 9 dragons' heaven-burning cauldron. It was called the Universe 8 Trigrams Cauldron. It was a most precious treasure for refining pills. After the weapon refiners and alchemists that Tion had captured in the past built these 2 pavilions, they were about to go crazy. Each of them guarded the 2 cauldrons with a fanatical expression in their eyes. Now, even if they were chased away, they might not be willing to leave. In addition, in the future, Ming would obtain the cultivation methods, various pill formulas, and weapon refinement methods from those souls. There is no need to worry that the Demon Clan would not have outstanding and powerful weapon refiners and alchemists. The 7 Orifices exquisite pot was operating at full strength. Cubes of divine crystals were being forged continuously. With the support of sufficient materials, the speed of refining divine crystals was unfolding at an unprecedented speed. Cubes of divine crystals were piled up, almost forming a small mountain at the side. In front of the divine crystals, a large number of Demon Clan members had a yearning expression on their faces. They happily carried the divine crystals and continuously filled the divine crystals into the embryonic membrane of heaven and earth according to the designated location. The divine crystals and the embryonic membrane of heaven and earth merged together, causing the entire ancient city to materialize bit by bit. It turned from illusion to a real ancient city. Compared to the past, the construction process back then was like a tortoise. Now, it had risen directly to an eagle. According to the current progress, the demon city only needed 100 years to complete the construction of the entire ancient city. In another 100 years, the various facilities in the city would be completed. If it took another 100 years, the ancient city would be even more complete. For example, the soil and vegetation of the ancient city would be laid down. All kinds of residences would be built. Wait, if he wanted to truly perfect it, he was afraid that he would need more time. Now, the most important buildings in the ancient city were the Qizhan Pavilion, the Immortal Brew Pavilion, the Scripture Pavilion, the Jubao Court, the Forging Pavilion, and the Alchemy Pavilion. In addition to the Inch-Een Tower, basically all the major facilities had been built. Once the ancient city was completed, the god-trapping sphere could be integrated into the ancient city, causing the ancient city to have strong defensive and offensive abilities. These thoughts ran through Tian's mind for a moment, and he kept them in the bottom of his heart. He was secretly satisfied. However, this time, he didn't come to see how the ancient city was being built. Instead, he came to look for Tian Can and Huang Quan. The 2 of them were in the Forging Pavilion at this moment. After sensing for a moment, Tian knew their location and walked into the Forging Pavilion. Come on, brothers, come on. Monthly votes, throw them. I'm going to be boosted by the people behind me. Second update. This is the second update. I'm going to write the 3rd chapter now. Although it's a little late, it will definitely be there. Brothers, let's go. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 567. Tian Can, you old man. Can you do it or not? You old fart, stop nagging. In terms of weapon refinement, if I, Tian Can, were to say that I'm second, who would dare to say that they're first? In this world, there's no one else who can refine a replica of the Divine Gate other than me. For this Divine Gate, back then, I personally ran to the Forbidden Grounds to feel the aura of the Divine Gate. But the materials required for this are too frightening. TSK, Mica Heavenly Jade, Sealing Stone, Sky-Locked Divine Iron. These are all the most precious treasures in the world. Even if these 4 divine gates are refined, who knows how many precious materials will be consumed. The divine gate must be built. On the highest floor of the smithing pavilion, Indra pushed open the door and walked in. He saw Tian Silkworm and Huang Quan arguing and calculating something at the same time. After listening at the door for a while, he heard that they were talking about the refinement of the 4 divine gates. He immediately pushed the door open and walked in. He looked at the 2 elders and said firmly, "Everywhere in the demon city has been built. The only thing missing is the most important 4 divine gates that guard the 4 directions and 4 poles. The Real Divine Gate is in the 9 forbidden grounds. With our current strength, we can't enter it all. Since we can forge a replica, we'll temporarily replace it with a replica. No matter the cost, no matter how much it costs, we must refine it." Disher Tian looked at Tian Can, his eyes revealing an incomparably serious expression. The ancient city could be said to be a supreme ancient city that suppressed the ancient times. However, there were no city walls at all. The city walls were the 4 divine gates. Each divine gate was sealed on one side, directly replacing the city walls, turning the entire ancient city into an iron bucket divine city. Other than the divine gate, there was no other exit to cross the ancient city. Naturally, it was definitely not an ordinary treasure. To forge such a treasure, not only did it require a lot of materials, but each of them was an unimaginably precious treasure. Not to mention that they were extremely rare, some were even extremely difficult to find. "Your Majesty," hesitation flashed across Tian Can's face, but he still said, "This time, Your Majesty plundered countless treasures from the myriad treasure Crimson Tide. There are countless precious items inside, and all of them were appraised by me and Huang Quan. Most of the materials needed to refine the Heaven Gate could be obtained from the Imperial Treasure Vault by relying on the merits of the Crimson Tide. However, if you wanted to refine the Gate of Heaven. However, we still lack the 5 most important treasures. 5 rare treasures." Disher Tian's heart tightened. The treasures obtained from a myriad treasure Crimson Tide this time were almost innumerable. Moreover, there were many kinds of treasures, including almost all the treasures in the universe. Everything was included in it. With such wealth, he could be said to be the 2nd richest man in the world. No one could compare to him. But now, there was a treasure that even he didn't have. He had no choice but to take this seriously. This meant that these 5 rare treasures were extremely rare and incomparably precious. None of them were easy to obtain. "Yes, Your Majesty," Tian Can still said, "these 5 rare treasures are the true secrets and abilities of the 4 heaven gates. Only by gathering all 5 of them could the fake Elysium possess immeasurable power. Even the ancient giants can't break it." "Which 5? Disher Tian didn't hesitate and asked on the spot. "Sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, void submerged stone, and immortal stone." Tian Can said as if he was familiar with his family's treasures. "The sealing stone can make the Heaven Gate have the power to seal. Anyone who passes through the Heaven Gate can be sealed on the spot once they are discovered to be an enemy. The Heaven Sealing Stone can't fly in the Heaven Gate. It has the power to imprison. It can forbid the demon city from flying. The Heaven Sealing Stone, it can seal the Heaven Gate. The Void Submerged Stone can make the ancient city have the power to travel through the void. The Immortal Stone can make the Heaven Gate have an almost immortal tenacity. Even an unparalleled expert can't completely destroy it. Every single one of the 5 types of Heaven Stones is extremely important. Only when these 5 types of Heaven Stones were gathered together would it truly possess the powerful might of the Heaven Gate. Even if it couldn't compare to a true natural spirit treasure, it was still a supreme treasure that was unique in the world. 5 types of Heaven Stones. Disher Tian took a deep breath. Even if he'd never seen it, he could guess that these 5 treasures were absolutely not ordinary treasures. Amongst them, he only knew of the Sealing Stone, because this supreme treasure had been fused into the heaven-span Yin-Yang Bridge. It possessed such inconceivable power and could even forcefully seal an Earth-ranked soldier soul. Thus, he inferred that the other 4 treasures were definitely not inferior to it at all. My God, so it's these 5 rare treasures. It's probably extremely difficult to find them. Ming couldn't help but inhale a breath of cool air after hearing this. Clearly, he was truly aware of how precious and rare these precious treasures were. Because these 5 types were called the 5 great divine stones in ancient times. They weren't ordinary items. They were divine items that fell from the chaos when heaven and earth were born. They were rare in number, especially since these rare treasures could conceal the power of heaven's secret. It was impossible to find them with divination methods. They were usually very ordinary stones. Without using special methods, it was impossible to recognize them. There were very few of them. Moreover, every time one was found, there would be one less. For heaven gates, if every heaven gate needed one, it meant that 4 of each type of heaven stone were needed. If this happened to anyone, they would completely go crazy. Your Majesty, I still have 4 sealing stones here. Tian can clench his teeth and suddenly took out a jade box. He opened the jade box and immediately saw 4 snow-white stones the size of a fist sitting quietly in the jade box. He said, "Back then, in order to refine the heaven-span yin-yang bridge, I paid a huge price in exchange for 9 sealing stones from other experts. 5 of them have been used, and now there are only 4 left. They could be used to refine the heaven gates." To be able to take out such rare treasures, it could be seen that Tiankin was really cutting off his own flesh. 4 stones were equivalent to gathering 1 type of rare treasure. There were still 4 types left. Unfortunately, these things were treasures that could only be found but not sought. Shaking his head, he could only put these things aside for now. He changed the topic and said, "Tian Can, Huang Quan, I need you to help me refine some formation discs and formation flags for the formation." The life altar was simply going against the heavens to raise the world's source seed. It would definitely trigger a terrifying heavenly tribulation. One heavenly tribulation was nothing, but what followed would definitely be a terrifying thunderbolt attack. The life altar didn't have any defensive power. If it was really hit, it would be destroyed instantly. With his current peak 4th transformation monster core cultivation, Tian wasn't arrogant enough to dare to fight against the heavenly tribulation alone. If his cultivation couldn't compare, he could only rely on external items. Formations were one of the most commonly used types of formations. As soon as he said this, Tian Can and Huang Quan also became excited. Huang Quan didn't hesitate to take out his unique formation, Huang Quan's purgatory formation diagram. They didn't hold back at all for Tian. After all, in front of the century slave seal, if the master died, the slave would also die. No one could stop it. If one fell, all fell. If one rose, all rose. How could they have other thoughts? Bang, bang, bang. After instructing Tian Can and Huang Quan to refine the formation, Tian walked out of the forging pavilion. Suddenly, a green wand sword attendant rushed over. When he saw him, he immediately knelt on one knee and said, "Your Majesty, the Demon Empress requests for you to go to the Lingxiao Palace immediately." Chunxi? When Sakura heard that, his mind moved, and he quickly swept towards the location of the Lingxiao King Hall. Ever since the Lingxiao Palace was built, it was used to summon generals and officials to discuss important matters. It was one of the most important places in the Demon City. At this moment, Chun-Shi actually asked him to rush to the palace immediately. Something big must have happened. Regarding this, he didn't hesitate at all. He entered the palace as fast as he could. In the main hall, Chun-Shi was sitting on the Demon Emperor's seat. In the hall, Chi-Hua, Ing Kong, and a few other commanders were standing below anxiously. Looking at their expressions, it was obvious that they had encountered something very important. "Your Majesty," when they saw Tian enter, they quickly collected their emotions and greeted him respectfully. Passing through the main hall, he sat down on the Lingxiao Palace's throne. He waved his hand and asked Chi-Hua and the others to stand up. He said, "Did something happen outside?" He went straight to the point. If there was nothing, Chi-Hua and the others still had to take charge of the 4 armies. It was impossible for them to leave their posts. On the contrary, the matter became very obvious. "Your Majesty," Chi's face was solemn. He said, "Just now, in the outside world, a group of rats suddenly dug through the ground when they were excavating a spirit mine. They discovered that there was actually another world hidden underground. This world is extremely vast. When I received the news, I didn't dare to hesitate and immediately came to report it. Furthermore, the heavenly fragrance empress and the others have already received the news and rushed over." This one sentence made Tion secretly surprised on the spot. There was actually a huge underground world hidden in this world. What's going on? Countless thoughts ran through Tian's mind quickly. His eyes flashed with wisdom. He thought to himself, "This world is filled with a huge amount of heaven and earth essence Qi. It is much denser than the purple gold mainland. Together with the power of the sun, moon, and stars, it is the most suitable place for the demon race to live. It is impossible for such a world to not have life. Could it be that they are all living underground?" Indeed, there had always been a question in the bottom of his heart. It was that there was actually no way to see half a living being in this world. This kind of situation was really strange, so strange that it made people afraid. After all the circumstances indicated that this was not normal at all. It was not some kind of terrifying danger. It was just some kind of unstoppable disaster. The appearance of the underground world was like a bolt of lightning that suddenly solved his question. "Cheer, let's go. Let's go and take a look." Tion did not hesitate and decided to go and investigate. He immediately said to Chunxi, "Third update, requesting votes. Pushing up the monthly votes. Brothers, do your best. To be continued." If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 568. He had an inexplicable premonition in his heart that there must be a shocking secret hidden in this underground world. Perhaps there he would be able to find the mystery of why there was not a single living bird or beast on the ground in this world. Leaving the Linglong treasure pagoda, Tian and Chun, she sat upright on the Lingxiao throne and appeared in front of the four armies. The azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise each formed an independent square formation. They wore their own unique armors, and each of them had 300,000 soldiers. Every one of them was brimming with divine light and brimming with energy as they looked at the battle flag in front of the formation. The battle flag fluttered in the wind. The figures of the four divine beasts suppressing the heavens were vivid and lifelike, exuding a vast majesty. Waves of iron-blooded aura condensed on the battle flag. 2 million elites of the demon clan who had condensed their inner cores stood proudly in front of Tian. Their gazes were focused on the supreme throne in midair. They were filled with endless fanaticism and admiration. As long as the person on the throne gave the order, even if they were asked to jump into the abyss, they would not hesitate at all. There was an incredible centripetal force on them. The hope in their hearts was all on the king. When such a legion went to war, they could risk their lives and unleash boundless battle prowess. "Scouts, lead the way." Tian glanced at the location where they had set up camp and found that the Rock Demon King and the others had left in a hurry with their subordinates. It seemed that they were going to discover the passage to the underground world. After all, in this unfamiliar world, there was a kind of strangeness everywhere. No one knew what kind of terrifying dangers would be hidden here. With his subordinates, he could condense his strength into one. How? A few golden-winged eagles transformed into their original forms and rushed into the sky, spreading their wings and flying forward, leading the way. Tian and Chun, she sat upright on the Lingxiao throne and followed behind. Behind them, a demonic wind rose under the feet of the 2 million elite army, and they quickly followed in a huge demonic cloud. Suddenly, billowing demonic aura rushed into the sky. In the sky, a huge black cloud shrouded. It caused the light below to suddenly darken and become dim. The scout led the way. The tunnel that had been dug through was just 1,000 miles away from the base. At that time, they were excavating a pure gold copper mine. All of a sudden, they had dug to a depth of 10,000 feet. They had actually dug through the entire ground. The Rat Clan didn't dare to hesitate at all and immediately returned to report. In front of the passageway, there were naturally Mouse Clan guards. Under the guidance of the scout, it didn't take long for them to arrive in front of the tunnel. They were in front of a mountain range that looked like a continuous chain of hills. At the foot of the mountain range, there was a pitch-black cave entrance. Inside the cave, there was a strange aura and a bloody smell. It was as if an ancient, ferocious beast was hiding in the cave. It made people worried and fearful. He could not help but stop in front of the cave entrance. Woo-woo! Wind flowed within the cave. Within the wind, there was a strange and terrifying cry, causing the cave to seem to be enveloped in a layer of cold air, causing one to tremble in fear. Fear grew in his heart. The Rat Clan guards in front of the cave did not dare to get too close to the cave entrance. However, looking at the situation in front of the cave, none of the Monster Kings were there. Obviously, they had led their subordinates into the cave and headed to the underground world. Boom, boom, boom. The group of Monster Kings suddenly stopped and landed on ground. Chertion glanced at the cave entrance and could not help but frown slightly. He said, "The aura coming from this cave has a very strong monster chi. However, within the monster chi, there seems to be an extremely terrifying demon chi mixed in. This underground world is definitely not simple. Just the smell of blood in the air, as well as the sharp killing intent, clearly indicated that the underground was definitely not a beautiful place like they had imagined. It could be said that it contained endless dangers. However, going to the underground world was inevitable. If they wanted to uncover the true face of this foreign world, this was their only chance. This place, could it be? Chun-Shi, who was sitting on the cloud, thrown together with Chertion, felt the aura coming from the cave. Her beautiful eyes suddenly widened, and her small mouth unconsciously opened. She could not hide the astonishment on her face. Demon Realm. It can't be wrong. This should be the Demon Realm. Back then, my mother sent my soul to the Source Continent in the Demon Realm to be reincarnated. The fiendish demon battlefield is underground. It must be the fiendish demon battlefield." Chun-Shi's face revealed an extremely complicated expression. It was a kind of surprised and somewhat worried expression. It was as if she was a wanderer who suddenly returned to her hometown and felt a sense of fear. Demon Realm. This is really the legendary Demon Realm. What's with the fiendish demon battlefield underground? Chertion was shocked and hurriedly asked Chun-Shi. Looking at her expression, it was obvious that she was inexplicably familiar with this world. At least, she knew it many times more than they did. Ever since Chun-Shi left the southern barbarian lands, she had been overseeing the myriad fiend city in the exquisite pagoda, taking care of the progress of the construction. She did not pay much attention to the outside world. Although she had heard that she had traveled through the void and arrived in an unfamiliar world, she was not too worried. Once the myriad fiend city was completed, she could use the ancient city's power to travel through the void and return to the purple gold continent. Now that she saw it, she was surprised to find that this place seemed to be the most familiar place in the depths of her memory. Demon Realm. After all, Chun-Shi was not completely born in the Source Continent. Back then, she was born in the Demon Realm. Furthermore, she had an extraordinary status in the Demon Realm and was known as a princess. She was extremely noble. Later on, because of an accident, his physical body collapsed, leaving behind only a broken soul. Her mother put her soul into a seed of the instant flower, allowing her to completely merge with the seed. Finally, she forcibly tore through the void and was sent to the Source Continent until now. That was how the current Chun-Shi was born. Chun-Shi's lips curled into a faint trace of nervousness as he said, "The fiendish demon battlefield has existed since the ancient era. It is the ancient battlefield where the demon race and the demon god fought. Back then, my physical body was shattered by a powerful demon god in the ancient battlefield." There was still a trace of lingering fear in his words. Clearly, his impression of the past was extremely deep. Sure, Tian, do you still remember that I once told you that in the ancient era, the demon race was the overlord of the world? We were the protagonists of the world. Chunshi took a deep breath, his gaze deep. That's right. Di Shirtian nodded and said in a deep voice, back then, in the ancient era, a terrifying catastrophe suddenly appeared in the world. The catastrophe swept through the source continent and even the myriad worlds. In the end, although the demon race survived the catastrophe, we were betrayed by the human race and fell to the point where we are on the verge of extinction. This matter had always been the goal that he had been pursuing. He had an irrepressible curiosity about the history of the ancient era. However, although he understood the general situation, he still did not know the exact situation that happened back then. I did not experience the catastrophe of the ancient era. However, I know that the demon race and the demon god race were mortal enemies. Either you die, or I die. Chun-Chi's voice carried a trace of coldness. There was a murderous intent in his voice. The demon race and the demon god race were like natural enemies. If there was one, there would be no other. His words carried a tragic aura. The fiendish demon battlefield was the ancient battlefield where the demon race and the demon god race fought to the death. However, the true origin of the catastrophe was still not completely explained. Lunatic D. Suddenly, the voice of Ming rang out in his mind. It was a little strange compared to usual. At this moment, there was an indescribable heaviness in its voice. It seemed to be hesitant. However, after a moment of silence, it continued, actually, I know about the catastrophe that happened in the ancient era. However, in the past, even if you knew, it would not help. It would only add to your troubles. Therefore, I have never told you about what happened back then. However, since you already know about the demon god race and the fiendish demon battlefield, you should know about it now. I'm sure you'll know the whole story soon. It has something to do with the demon god race, Di Shirtian said with unusual certainty as a glint flashed in his eyes. It was not a rhetorical question, but an affirmation. Vaguely, he could not help but recall the bloody battlefield that he had personally experienced when he walked the heart-seeking path in the sky-faced secret realm. At that time, the demon god that he saw with his own eyes was so real and terrifying. In the Qin family, there was actually a terrifying demon god sealed in the demon lake. And now, there was the fiendish demon battlefield. All the signs pointed to the fact that the catastrophe of the ancient era was probably inextricably linked to the demon god race. Ming's expression turned very grave as it muttered, Lunatic D, do you know? The true arrival of the source continent. Source continent? Di Shirtian's mind spun quickly. Although he was a little curious as to why Ming would suddenly mention this, he guessed that there might be some important connection. After thinking for a while, he said, It has been said since ancient times that the chaos world nurtures all things. The source continent is a supreme world that was born from the chaos world for countless years. It is almost indestructible. It nurtures all things and creates the world. It is endlessly magical. It is connected to the chaos world. The power of the world is inexhaustible. It is a unique existence in the chaos world. This saying was also a legend that had been passed down since ancient times. Hee, wrong. Ming rejected it without hesitation and laughed strangely. This is just a saying used to fool children. Only when one becomes an unparalleled expert can he witness the formation of the source continent with his own eyes at the moment of his breakthrough. Only when one becomes an unparalleled expert can he be qualified to know the true truth. I didn't want you to know so early, but I have to tell you now. I don't want you to go out and talk nonsense and lose face for no reason. Ming was clearly full of disdain for this legend. He tossed out a bombshell and cautiously said, Actually, there's another world like the prime continent in the primordial chaos. It is called the Demon God Continent. First update, begging for monthly votes. If I support you, you must support me too. Third update. To be continued. If you want to know more, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 569, Demon God Continent. This one sentence was like a flash of lightning in the dark night, shocking Sakura to the point that he was stupefied. Shocking. Too shocking. An existence like the Origin Continent was a miracle born from the chaos. No one knew how many Yuanhuas it had been nourished in the chaos and how much chaos essence it had absorbed. It was a divine object born from the chaos. No one could create such a world. It was almost indestructible. It was vast and boundless. It contained endless mysteries. Even the chaos couldn't destroy it. It was already unbelievable that such a world could be born. But now, Dark was saying that there was another world besides the purple gold mainland, the Demon God Continent. All along, he had thought that the purple gold mainland was unique in the chaos. But now, he suddenly heard that it wasn't the only one. There was another world that wasn't inferior to the purple gold mainland at all. That kind of shock would probably cause even an ancient powerhouse's mind to go blank in an instant. It was hard to accept immediately. There are many unbelievable things in this world. Moreover, it's in a chaos world. Anything can happen in the chaos world. Who knows if there's only the purple gold mainland and the demon god continent in the chaos world? Dark looked humbly at the void and sighed. However, he quickly came back to his senses and continued. You didn't hear wrongly. There are at least two ancient worlds like the purple gold mainland in the chaos world. Moreover, the purple gold mainland and the demon god continent are of the same origin. As he said that, he threw out another unbelievable thing. Deshirtion sat on the throne and closed his eyes. Although it seemed like a long time had passed since he talked to Dark, it was only a blink of an eye in the outside world. No one knew that he was going through a subversive lesson. What Dark said was a supreme secret that even the ancient giant didn't know about. Especially the fact that the purple gold mainland and the demon god continent were of the same origin and were originally one. It was hard for him to imagine. This was simply too inconceivable. Do you find it hard to believe? However, once you see it for yourself, you won't have any doubts. Ming laughed strangely while a wisp of blood-red light suddenly flashed through its eyes, and it rumbled as it charged out of heavenly punishment and imprinted itself on the center of Deshirtion's forehead. Boom! Boom! Immediately, Deshirtion felt as if there was a terrifying bolt of lightning in his mind. Suddenly, a strange scene appeared. His entire mind was immersed in it in an instant. What he saw before him was a dusky world. In this world, there was no light, no water, and no time. The passage of space was silent. Countless grayish gases intertwined together, floating up and down. For some reason, this strange gas seemed to be the source of all living things. However, this world was indeed like a deathly still world. Chaos. Could this be the legendary chaos world? A thought suddenly flashed across Sakura's mind. Looking at the boundless strange world in front of him, without any reason, he instantly determined that the world in front of him was a primal chaos world that nurtured all living things. The gas inside was filled with primal chaos chi everywhere. Every strand of chaos chi contained a terrifying power that could suppress everything. If the ancient giant was here, he would be corroded by chaos chi and disintegrate into chaos chi. He would be completely assimilated. Thump! Thump! In this desolate world of chaos, a sound like the beating of a heart could be heard. Every time this sound rose and fell, the entire world of chaos would tremble and a large amount of chaos chi would gather towards the center of chaos. Looking over, he saw a huge egg shining with purple light amidst the chaos. It was impossible to estimate how many eggs there were. He only felt that his eyes were completely filled by this strange purple egg. This egg was oval in shape, and the beating sound was coming from this egg. Every time it rose and fell, a vast amount of chaos chi would pour into the egg. The egg was like a bottomless pit, devouring the chaos chi without changing in the slightest. The chaos world didn't change in the slightest, and the chaos chi continued to flow, as if there was no end to it. It was inexhaustible and inexhaustible. On the surface of the egg, There were countless mysterious talismans that flickered with divine light. Boundless pressure radiated from the egg, spreading out in all directions and suppressing all of the chaos world. In front of this chaos world, everything seemed tiny and insignificant. It contained boundless power. It was almost as if the egg was nurturing some inestimable divine object. That egg is, he murmured to himself. Could it be that it's giving birth to an invincible god? Or could it be that it's nurturing an indestructible heaven and earth? Crack! Without waiting for him to finish his analysis, a terrifying axe light suddenly flew out from the chaos. Wherever the axe light passed, even the chaos was cleaved apart on the spot. At the place where the axe light was cleaved apart, countless earth, fire, water, and wind surged out. Vaguely, countless spaces were constantly being destroyed. The clear ones rose while the turbid ones fell. It was as if he was going to create a new world. However, it was instantly annihilated by the chaotic chi. The axe light was terrifyingly sharp. In an instant, the chaos was broken. The position of the purple egg was right in front of the axe light. The axe directly slashed through the center of the purple egg. With a kacha sound, that axe light was simply unimaginably ferocious. It actually forcefully split Dan's axe into two. As soon as they separated, a mystical world emerged from the egg. Inside the egg, there was indeed a miraculous world that transcended the myriad of worlds. In this world, originally, under the nurturing of the primal chaos, once completed, it would have possessed countless mystical powers. He might even be able to transcend the chaos and rise above it. The eternal celestial realm was formed. However, under the axe light, it was cleaved apart on the spot. Before it was completely nurtured, it was cleaved into two by the axe. A complete heaven and earth was also split into two, and they were separated rapidly. They were split into two sides of the chaos. And that terrifying axe light also seemed to have exhausted its strength and did not continue to slash forward. In the end, the evil aura in the axe light landed in one half of the world. The other half of the axe light absorbed the purple gas when Dan disappeared and condensed into a simple double-sided battle axe. It landed in the other half of the world and disappeared silently. Suddenly, the chaotic chi surged in. The two separated worlds evolved completely and formed independent worlds that existed in the chaos. Shocking. At this moment, even the most beautiful words could not describe the shock in Shirtian's heart. He witnessed the evolution that was like the creation of the world with his own eyes. The truth of the world that seeped out from the chaos surged into his mind like a tide. A kind of understanding of mystery flowed through his heart. Vaguely, he seemed to have comprehended many truths. However, when he thought about it carefully, it seemed that he had not obtained anything. Phew! He slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and said in a deep voice, "Could the scene just now be the true origin of the purple gold mainland and the demon god continent?" The two continents were originally a complete world, but they were cleaved apart by an axe light. In the end, it evolved into this scene. With Shirtian's intelligence, how could he not understand that Ming was using a kind of primordial spirit imprint to show him the true origin of the origin continent and the true connection between it and the demon god continent? However, this matter was really too shocking. It was really too shocking. Those without a strong will would not be able to withstand such an impact at all. That's right. This imprint is the natural origin imprint of the world when an unparalleled expert breaks through. It can recall the origin of the world in the imprint. The purple gold mainland and the demon god continent are conjoined worlds that were cleaved apart by the same world. They have the same origin. You can even say that they are twins born from the same egg. Ming shook his head and said, "However, the two worlds developed in completely different directions. The demon god continent was assimilated by the axe light's evil aura, causing that world to be filled with evil aura. This evil aura gave birth to the competitive demon god clan. Aggression became second nature. Moreover, they were incomparably bloodthirsty. Wherever they went, there were few who could survive. The demon god continent and the origin continent share the same origin. The demon god clan was born to conquer the origin continent and merge with the demon god continent to finally form the ancient heavenly realm. The way to achieve this goal was to invade and kill. In ancient times, when the demon gods attacked the continents, the demon clan was the first to bear the brunt. Among the 100 clans, there were also countless experts who fought. Every battle shook the stars, and the blood of billions of lives fell on the ground. Countless experts fell, and even the most powerful experts were annihilated. That was a battlefield. Countless worlds collapsed on the spot. That was a terrifying calamity. Ming said with some shock. This was a war between clans. Wherever the demon god clan went, no other clans except the demon god clan were allowed to survive. They were extremely aggressive. In their eyes, all clans were food. If not for this, the merger of the two continents might not be impossible. Everything. Learn these secrets. Tion did not feel relaxed. Instead, he felt an unusual sense of foreboding. It was as if a terrifying demon sword was hanging above his head and could fall at any time. This feeling, it made people shudder involuntarily. Come, let's go in. He took a deep breath and calmed his mind. He looked at Chun-Shi gently and grabbed her hand gently. It was as if he wanted to transfer an invisible force to her. He smiled faintly and said, "It's good that I can meet mother-in-law. I'll fulfill my promise to you back then." Immediately, he sat on the throne and entered the cave. Here's the second update. Next is the third update. Those who have monthly votes vote for the 1,000 demons. I'm working hard. Whether I can maintain the third update depends on everyone's passion. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 570. Back then, when Tion courted Chun-Shi had made 2 requests. First, he had to become an ancient demon within 500 years. That was to reach the 7th transformation of the demon core. For Tion, this was no longer something impossible to obtain. If he had the heart, he could easily step into the 5th transformation of the demon core. With the power of the world seed, he could once again cross the limit and step into the 6th transformation of the demon core. A great demon was just a short distance away. He had long thought it through. This was just a way for Chun-Shi to encourage him to become stronger. It wasn't difficult. Second, before officially marrying her, he had to personally propose to Chun-Shi's mother. This was also very reasonable. After all, it was the most basic principle to propose to her mother before marrying her daughter. There was no reason to refuse. However, according to what he said back then, her mother was in the demon realm. At that time, he had no idea where the demon realm was. Now that he was in the demon realm, it was only natural for him to meet this condition. When she heard that Sakura still took the 2 conditions that she had casually proposed in the past to heart and didn't neglect her just because she had already entered the jade pool, she felt sweet in her heart, and a thick warmth flashed through her heart. She smiled at him tenderly. A woman's heart was often delicate and soft. She would be touched by some small things. My mother was the holy mother of the moon back then. She stepped into the peak of the demon saint. I don't know if she has advanced to the sky demon realm after all these years. Chun-Shi rarely mentioned her family. In the past, Tion only knew that she had a mother, but he didn't know much about her mother's situation. Now that he heard it, she was also an extraordinary person. She had already become a demon saint countless years ago. After all these years, she cultivated in this place where the heaven and earth essence energy was unusually abundant. Her advancement would definitely be rapid. Stepping into the sky demon realm would probably be a matter of time. They went all the way into the cave. Behind them, the 4 legions followed. They lined up neatly and entered in order. The cave was like a bottomless pit. No matter how many people entered, there was no change in the cave. The cave was abnormally dark. However, in the eyes of the demons, darkness was no different from daytime. While passing through the cave, Tion asked Chun-Shi some questions about the underground world. He immediately knew that the underground world was basically an ancient battlefield. There were many demon clans in the underground world. Moreover, because the demon clans in the demon world had migrated here since ancient times, some of the orthodoxies in the demon clan were more complete than those in the purple and gold mainland. However, there were still quite a few that were lost. In addition, the heaven and earth yuan qi in this world was abundant, making it the most suitable place for demons to reproduce. Therefore, the various races quickly multiplied here, and their numbers increased rapidly. At the peak of their development, the number of the various races in the demon race exceeded 100 million. This allowed the heavy injuries suffered during the ancient times to have a chance to breathe. At its peak, 8 sky demons were born, 32 monster saints. There were thousands of great demons. There were countless demon monarchs. There were countless small demons. Based on this situation, it would not be difficult for them to recover their former glory if they recuperated. However, although the demon god continent was forced to retreat, there were still remnants of the passageway that could not be completely sealed. 2 of them were the most crucial ones. One was the heaven domain, and the other was the demon world. These 2 major worlds were opened up to seal the passageway and to be the first battlefield in the war against the demon god clan. Unexpectedly, the demon god clan did not give up after retreating. Just as the demons were recuperating, the sealed passageway was broken open, and the demon god clan surged into the demon world. The blood feud between the demons and the demon god clan was impossible to be reconciled. Naturally, they started killing each other. The underground world was completely turned into the demon ancient battlefield. The plan to recuperate was completely interrupted. The battle with the demon god clan drained the already depleted resources of the demon clan almost every moment. Who knew how many demon elites would be lost in every war? The most despicable thing was that when the demon god clan rushed into the demon world, the humans actually acted again. Several powerful experts joined hands to seal the demon world, causing it to become a situation where one could enter but not leave. It was impossible to leave even if one wanted to. They really wanted to do things to the extreme. As such, they called it preventing the demon god clan from invading the source world. As a result, since ancient times, no news from the demon world reached the source world, and not a single expert came. This directly caused the demon clan in the purple gold mainland to decline continuously. There were no experts to support the situation. After listening to Chun Shi's description of the demon battlefield, Dishurtian could not help but snort sarcastically. He said, "The humans flaunt themselves as the protagonists of the world. Natural Taoist aptitude. They have a strong sense of selfishness in their bones and cannot tolerate the existence of other races. Even if there are, they will think of ways to suppress or even exterminate them." However, when the demon god continent launches a large-scale attack next time, I'm afraid we won't know who will be the exterminator. He felt disdain in his heart. What the humans did was basically cutting off their own arm. Even the demons of the past could not resist. No matter how strong the humans were now, how could they compare to the 100 races and the demons of the past? The cave was rugged all the way down. Soon, they passed through the cave. They were close to the entrance of the underground world. All of a sudden, the sound of a desperate battle rang out in his ears. "Kill! Kill! These damned demon god combat beasts. How can they reproduce so quickly? We can't kill them all. My father died under the claws of you demonic god battle beasts. Die! Quick! Kill these demon god combat beasts. Quickly go and help the other brothers. There are fewer and fewer demons who can fight. Every brother is precious. Heavenly demons, Lord Ghost Chariot is fighting with the demon gods. We can't be cowards. One kill means one less. Kill. Reinforcements. We have reinforcements. More than 9 million demon brothers just came from outside. I heard they came from the purple gold mainland. That is the source of our demon clan. However, their cultivation was too weak. Coming here was simply sending them to their deaths. Now, they have all been sent to the back of the battlefield. However, it is good to have reinforcements. With this batch of reinforcements, we can at least hold on for a few more decades. The sounds of fighting continuously entered the ears of D, Shirtion, and the others. Those tragic sounds of fighting carried a decisive charm. Listening to the shouts inside, it seemed that the Rock Demon King and the others had arrived first. Moreover, they seemed to have a connection with the inside. However, they were despised for not having strong combat strength. Hearing this, the Rock Demon King and the others probably felt a sense of shame and resentment in their hearts. War. The Demon Clan was fighting with the Demon God Clan. A thought flashed through his mind. In his body, the blood suddenly began to boil. His eyes shone brightly, emitting a raging flame. He said coldly, "Demon God Clan? My ancestors could kill you all. Today, how can I, Shirtion, fall behind?" His body surged with a strong fighting spirit. "All demons, listen up. Follow me to kill the enemy." With a loud roar, he drove the soaring sky throne and rushed into the cave. This rush, the scenery in front of him suddenly changed. He saw that in front of him, there was a dim scenery everywhere. In the sky, there was a gray cloud. In the air, there was a tragic, murderous aura. Demon aura was so dense that it couldn't be dispersed. It filled every inch of space between heaven and earth. Below, the first thing that entered his eyes was the countless dense and terrifying mantises on the ground. These mantises were all incomparably huge, at least more than 10 meters tall. Countless strange talismans emerged from the shells on their bodies, emitting a strange demonic aura. Not to mention their two blood-red eyes, their two forelimbs were in the shape of scythes. When they waved, they cut open the void. Moreover, their speed was very fast. In midair, they pulled out countless terrifying phantoms. They were faster than lightning. There were no less than hundreds of thousands of such mantises on the ground. There were also demon arrow wolves covered in thorns. The hair on their bodies was like steel needles, standing upright. When they were shot out, they were more terrifying than sharp arrows. Especially when it was pitch black above, if they were stabbed, they would probably be poisoned to death. Some other terrifying monsters were equally terrifying. There were many of them, densely packed. They constantly emerged from a pitch black hole in the void. There was also a terrifying demon god that was thousands of feet tall and had 8 arms on its body. It swept across the battlefield. Its power was simply terrifying. With a casual slap, it could even smash a mountain into powder. As its huge feet trampled, the demon god battle beasts along the way were directly trampled in a meat paste, regardless of whether they were enemies or allies. There was a bloodthirsty glow in their eyes. 8-armed demon god clan. Back then, he had seen them on Wenshin Road. Looking at the demonic aura emitted from these demon gods, each of them had a terrifying power comparable to that of a great demon. Their destructive power was extremely shocking. Their faces were hideous and terrifying. Countless demons waved the battle blades in their hands with determined faces, risking their lives to fight those demon god battle beasts. All the demons present had the cultivation of an ancient demon king. There were no less than 1 million demons. Every demon had a strong, murderous aura around them. These demon kings, who would be powerful if they were placed in the source mainland, were fighting the demon god clan dauntlessly. They would not retreat, even if they died. The ancient demon race's courage to fight against the heavens was completely displayed. Blood dyed the blue sky. A man's heart was as hard as steel. Every slash was like the god of death. His roar frightened ghosts and gods. Looking at the tragic battlefield in front of him, Shirtion's blood was boiling. The tiger soul behind him was so stimulated that it kept vibrating, letting out low tiger roars. Boom! Boom! Behind him 2 million elites entered the battlefield. The battle flags of the 4 major armies fluttered. They watched the battlefield without fear. The light in their eyes was completely focused on Shirtion. As long as he gave the order, even if it was a mountain of blades, they would still charge forward. All troops, listen to my order. Form the battle formation and fight the demon god. Third update. Seeking monthly votes. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 571. Fight, fight, fight. You must use me in battle. I'm invincible. Chi Hua and the other commanders watched the demon race fight the demon gods with no regard for their own safety. Their eyes were filled with boundless battle intent, and the blood in their bodies was boiling. It was as if their ancient ancestors were silently watching them. This was how a man should be. Don't let a woman's heart be wrapped around a man's body. Green Dragon Army, listen up. Green Dragon Battle Formation. Chi Hua's eyes were bloodshot. Wisps of red flames rose on his green dragon battle armor. He waved the battle flag in his hand. Immediately, the 300,000 Green Dragon Army soldiers behind him moved quickly. With Chi Hua and Long Rue in the lead, each of them stepped into their respective positions and arranged themselves in a mysterious manner. In the blink of an eye, they formed the image of a divine dragon. You must use me in battle. I'm invincible. Green Dragon Battle Formation. Dragon roars to the 9 heavens. The battle flag and the Green Dragon battle flag suddenly expanded violently. Countless Green Dragon battle aura roared out of the flag and turned into a green cloud that enveloped the entire Green Dragon army. In the blink of an eye, the entire army was completely covered. Roar! The green cloud rolled, and a vast pressure spread from the clouds without reservation. Suddenly, a green dragon claw tore through the clouds. An incomparably large dragon head roared as it drilled out of the clouds and occupied the green cloud. It was 3,000 feet long, covered in lifelike dragon scales, and had 5 claws under its body. The dragon's pressure pressed down on the ferocious demon god battle beast below like a tide. The dragon's body danced, shaking the void. His aura was actually not inferior to that of a peak great demon. 300,000 elite demon soldiers who had condensed their inner cores and had now broken through to the first transformation of Yaodan. All their strength was gathered under the battle formation, and the battle formation was deduced to the limit. 300,000 elites gathered into one. Their entire combat prowess merged into one. The azure dragon that was formed naturally displayed the vast might of the 4 divine beasts. The azure dragon let out a roar, and circles of azure ripples rolled towards the demon god battle beasts like a tide. Wherever the ripples passed, a large number of demon god battle beasts were turned into dust, and their internal organs were all crushed. No less than 3,000 to 4,000 fiend celestial beasts died under the dragon roar. It should be known that the demon god battle beasts on the battlefield were almost as powerful as demon kings. However, he was killed by a dragon's roar. From this, one could see how terrifying the azure dragon's battle prowess was. You must use me in battle. I am invincible. White Tiger Battle Formation. Wind rends the heavens. Yuan Zhan, the commander of the White Tiger Legion, had an excited look in his eyes. He led his vice commander, Shi Shiqian, and Kuei Niu to the front. The war flag in his hand fluttered, and the legion behind him quickly got into a battle formation. The formation was shaped like a ferocious tiger. Between heaven and earth, Gangjin Qi madly gathered. Within the banners, gusts of wind blew, enveloping the entire army. Roar! A domineering tiger roar came from the countless terrifying hurricanes. A white tiger that was at least 3,000 feet tall, with a pair of huge wings on its back, was revealed. Its eyes revealed the aura of a king, and its body was filled with a fierce, murderous aura. The sharp power of Gangjin was unmistakable. With a flap of its wings, 2 domineering hurricanes immediately swept out. Within the hurricanes, there were countless golden wind blades. They could almost cut through a vacuum, and their sharpness was unparalleled. All the demon god battle beasts that were swept into the hurricanes were sliced and minced. They were cut into countless pieces of flesh and fell to the ground. The strength of the white tiger was not inferior to that of the azure dragon. It also had the powerful battle prowess of a great demon. Almost at the same time, within a ball of scorching white flames, a huge vermilion divine bird spread its wings as if it was reborn. As it flapped its wings, a rain of fire descended. When it landed on the ground, everything that came into contact with it was incinerated into dust. The vermilion divine fire on its body burned fiercely. The temperature in the air instantly rose. And from the ground, a huge black tortoise rushed out. The tortoise and snake merged into one body, suppressing an area. The strange snake that was coiled on the tortoise shell opened its mouth and spat out the most domineering cold air, freezing the world. Boom, boom, boom. Under the power of the divine beast battle formation, the 4 great legions had all transformed into divine beasts. The green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were all gathered together. Their auras were soaring to the sky as they emitted a vast amount of pressure. They directly charged towards the overwhelming number of demon god battle beasts. They all unleashed the powerful battle prowess of the divine beasts. In front of the demon god battle beasts, there is almost no stopping them from wantonly slaughtering. The participation of the 4 major armies immediately created a powerful deterrent force that directly suppressed the ferocity of the demon god battle beasts. The sudden addition of reinforcements boosted the morale of the demon god battle beasts. Their morale suddenly rose, and it was as if their bodies were injected with endless power in an instant. Ha, I knew it. How could the demon race fall so easily? The demon race of the Source Continent did not disappoint us. They actually have such a trick up their sleeve. Good, good. Tisk TSK, using the battle formation to condense the 4 divine beasts, each of whom is at the peak of the great demon realm. Their battle prowess is comparable to that of a demon saint. This time, our chances of winning against the demon god battle beasts have greatly increased. Kill, kill. These demon beasts deserve to die. Their reproductive abilities are too terrifying. We don't know how many of our brothers are slaughtered each time. Reinforcements, we have hope this time. The addition of the 4 major armies was simply a piece of inspiring news. It immediately ignited the fighting spirit of countless demon race warriors. Their eyes were filled with madness as they continuously killed the demon beasts in front of them. They directly suppressed the ferocity of the demon beasts on the spot. Many demon kings directly roared and used the divine power of the heavenly laws embodiment technique. Increased the size of his body. They erupted with astonishing battle prowess. However, the demon god clan had a strong foundation. Countless demon beasts continuously emerged from the black hole in the void. There were many different races, and without exception, they all had a bloodthirsty aura. In the blink of an eye, millions of demon beasts emerged. There was also a group of 8-armed demon gods that entered the battlefield. However, there were not many of them. There were only 100 of them. However, among these 8-armed demon gods, even the weakest one had a cultivation base that was comparable to that of a great demon god. The stronger one was comparable to a demon sage. 8 of their arms held ferocious weapons. As they waved them, it was as if they were going to break heaven and earth. These demon gods drove the demon beasts to attack the demon race's front line. They casually created a dignified atmosphere on the battlefield. Seeing this, Tion only felt the blood in his body burning. His eyes were filled with endless battle intent as he watched the 4 divine beasts fight on the battlefield. He could not help but roar to the sky. We demon race fight the heavens and the earth. As long as we die standing, we will not live kneeling. We drink the blood of the demon gods and eat the flesh of the demon beasts. This is the strength of the demon race. Tiger Soul, drink the blood of the demon gods with me today. Let's see if it is sweeter. Kill. Tion suddenly stood up from the throne. He stepped on the void. The tiger soul on his back in the scabbard let out a low tiger roar. There was a strong thirst for blood in the tiger's roar. It was thirsting for blood. Clang! His right hand had already landed on the slender hilt of the tiger soul. A murderous aura suddenly sounded from the scabbard. The tiger's soul pointed diagonally to the ground. On the blade, the fishbone-like ripples kept fluctuating. Inside his body, in the demon residence, the demon refining cauldron started spinning crazily, emitting an endless devouring power. It continuously devoured the heaven and earth essence chi outside his body. Outside his body, the entire void seemed to be collapsing. His body turned into a terrifying black hole. The fifth-grade Black Lotus was spinning rapidly. It spat out waves of pure royal true force. It surged into the demon veins around his body. In his flesh and blood, countless forces were surging. Bang! He fell directly from the sky. The place where he landed was at the forefront of the millions of demon beasts. When he stepped on the ground, a vast pressure directly set off a wave of air around him. In front of him was a demon mantis that was dozens of meters tall. Its two black sides slashed at him like lightning. With a crack, the space in front of him was split open. The sharp edge instantly enveloped his body. Kill! Di Shirtian's mind was incomparably calm. He was so calm that everything around him was completely reflected in his mind. As for the attack that fell on him, he instantly knew. In his consciousness, this kind of attack seemed to have slowed down many times in an instant. A cold expression appeared at the corner of his mouth. His feet slightly stepped to the left. The tiger's soul in his hand swung out. It drew a golden arc in front of him. This step was ingenious. It was almost a hair's breadth away from the sharp edge of the scythe. The tiger's soul in his hand completely erupted with its endless battle strength. From top to bottom, it slashed diagonally, splitting a demon mantis into two on the spot. The moment the demon mantis died, the demon blood in its body was directly devoured by the tiger's soul. A trace of blood could be seen on the blade. As for the demon's soul, how could it escape the absorption of the heavenly punishment? It was directly swallowed into the heavenly punishment divine eye. Haha, kill, kill, kill. Lunatic D, these demon souls are all good things. Kill as many as you can. Each of them is the best jailer. Nether shouted excitedly in the nether prison. With a claw, it directly shattered the demon mantis demon soul and threw it into the Huang Quan. The power of the demon soul was instantly dissolved on the spot. It was integrated into the nether prison. Only a little soul brand was left. The soul brand was thrown into the purple pool in the 19th layer. Suddenly, the purple pool violently fluctuated. The next moment, a jailer wearing purple armor and holding a soul hook in his hand walked out. The jailer's appearance was that of a human, not much different from the other jailers. As soon as he came out, he immediately entered the nether prison and began to interrogate the divine souls. The purple pool now had a new name. It was called the Heavenly Nether Pool. The pool could nurture jailers. The jailers were able to obtain the power of the heavenly punishment divine eye through a little soul brand. Only then could they regain their bodies in the heavenly nether pool. However, not everyone's divine soul could become a jailer. Only those with a strong soul brand could. The demon god clan's demon soul was innately strong. It was the best target to become a jailer. Good. Heavenly punishment divine eye, open the nether prison. Jailer, come out and detain the demon souls for me. Monthly votes. Today, when I saw that I was overtaken in the monthly votes list, I was so anxious. My heart was cold. I didn't even have the motivation to write. Brothers, let's do it. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 572. Whoosh. A beam of purple light shot out from the purple mark between his eyebrows and blasted into the void. Suddenly, a strange scene appeared in the void, showing the scene in the nether prison. In nether prison, the scenes of countless prison guards being tied up and tortured in different levels of purgatory appeared one after another. It was like a mirage. The soul-retrieving chain trembled, making a terrifying sound. Countless jailers rushed out of the nether prison. The chains in their hands were full of layers of strange power, and countless talismans flashed. They emitted a terrifying aura that shook one's soul. There were more than 10,000 jailers in each of the 19 levels of Nether Prison. Among them, there was no jailer in the 19th level. Even so, there were still more than 190,000 jailers. These jailers absorbed the power of the divine soul. They were almost completely connected to the Eye of Heaven's punishment in the Nether Prison. As long as the Eye of Heaven's punishment was not destroyed, they could exist forever. The origin was indestructible. Moreover, one's strength was closely related to the Eye of Heaven's punishment. The stronger the Eye of Heaven was, the stronger the Nether Prison was, and the stronger the jailers in the Nether Prison were. At this moment, each jailer had the strength of a peak demon king. In particular, their bodies could be illusory and corporeal, which was an unparalleled deterrent to souls. As soon as they appeared, they immediately waved the chains in their hands and tied the dead demonic beasts. They directly pulled the demonic souls from the corpses and sent them into the Nether Prison, in a Huang Quan to be refined into soul imprints, and kept throwing them into the Heaven Nether Pool to create more jailers. The power of the Eye of Heaven's punishment was constantly increasing. Kill. After Di Shirtian opened the passage to the Nether Prison, he ignored them. His fighting spirit soared, and the tiger soul in his hand flashed with a bright divine light. The blood on the ground turned into a few blood ribbons that were directly swallowed by the tiger soul. The power of the green bead in the tiger soul was rapidly increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. His feet moved in a strange way, and his mind was like water in a well. He reflected the surrounding situation in his mind and could often force the threat away. The tiger soul in his hand was infinitely sharp. Every slash was terrifyingly sharp and simple, with endless killing intent in its beauty. There was no so-called beauty. Every slash had to taste blood. Crack! Taking a step forward and tilting his body, Tiger Soul drew out a cold arc of light and split a demonic wolf in half. After devouring all of its blood, Tiger Soul did not stop. Instead of retreating, it advanced and charged straight into the demonic beast horde. In front of Di Shirtian, the demonic beasts, which were comparable to demon kings, were cut down as easily as chopping vegetables. In front of him, demonic beasts of the same level were unable to cause him any harm. He could be said to be invincible among his peers. In his hands, the most ordinary saber technique could erupt with the most terrifying power. The sharpness of Tiger Soul. It was almost unstoppable. Even though he was surrounded by countless demonic beasts, he seemed extremely calm. The feeling of the saber stabbing into his flesh stimulated Di Shirtian's body. His blood surged crazily, and his fighting spirit soared into the clouds like smoke. Every strike was as fast as lightning. In the span of a few breaths, hundreds of magical beasts were sliced in half. Intense killing intent pierced through the sun and moon. A vast amount of pressure pressed down on the demonic beasts. Diur, come out. Let us fight side by side. Di Shirtian released his fighting spirit as he roared. Instantly, the exquisite pagoda appeared above his head, emitting a bright divine light. It trembled violently. How? The domineering and excited cry suddenly sounded from the pagoda. A colorful light rushed out of the pagoda and quickly expanded. In the blink of an eye, it became 100 feet tall. It spread its wings like a king descending. 3 long divine lights trailed behind it, suppressing the void. It raised its head proudly. Emperor Phoenix. The Emperor Phoenix in front of them was the one that Di Shirtian had wholeheartedly nurtured. In order to nurture her, he did not hesitate to use hundreds of source of life to strengthen her foundation. In the past, she had been in a deep sleep. It was not until recently that she truly woke up. Once she woke up, she immediately bloomed with incomparable elegance. For a moment, divine light flashed like a supreme king, looking down on the heavens. The power of heaven and earth surged into her body like a tide, as if announcing her existence to the entire world. Daddy! A tender and joyful voice sounded in Di Shirtian's mind. The 2 eyes of the Emperor Phoenix were looking at him. Obviously, she was the one who said that. Ewer, let us father and daughter fight side by side today. Ewer had Shirtian's blood in her body, so it was not wrong to say that she was his daughter. He could not help but laugh at the sky. Stepping on the air, Qin Wentian stepped on a Ewer's back. Roar! The Emperor Phoenix was overjoyed. It looked at the magical beast below and screeched in disgust. It flapped its wings, and two terrifying hurricanes swept toward the magical beasts. On the spot, the magical beasts were shredded into countless pieces. There were also magical beasts in the sky. Facing them was a flock of huge, strange birds that looked like winged dragons. Each of them was extremely ferocious. They swooped down and tore many magical beasts into pieces. Kill! Shirtian shouted coldly and swept out the tiger soul in his hand. The imperial true force in his body was crazily injected into it. The tiger soul burst out with a terrifying saber light that was thousands of feet long. In an instant, countless terrifying afterimages were formed in the void. Blood spurted out. Countless strange birds were cut in half by the saber. The Emperor Phoenix also erupted with astonishing battle strength. 3 divine lights flashed behind him. In the void in front of him, a scene of carnage played out. Countless strange birds were frozen into ice cubes and burned into ashes. Riding on the Emperor Phoenix, Shirtian was almost invincible among the magical beasts. With a sweep of the tiger soul, he could destroy tens of thousands of magical beasts in an instant. He was almost unstoppable and unique. Is he still a monster king? He's so strong. Oh my God, are the monster kings of the Source Continent really so strong? They are not inferior to the great monsters. With that strange bird, their power is simply unparalleled. With such potential, he has a chance to become a heavenly monster. When a magical beast saw this, they were all shocked. They were deeply shocked by Shirtian's battle strength. They were shocked. They couldn't help but wonder if the monster clans in the Source Continent were even more powerful. TSK. Monster King, what a powerful Monster King. I haven't enjoyed such high-quality delicacies in a long time. Be obedient and offer all your flesh and blood to this demon god. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Shirtian was massacring the magical beasts, hundreds of thousands of magical beasts were buried under the tiger soul, and his power was monstrous and unstoppable. A thunderous roar suddenly poured toward him. In that voice, there was a boundless desire, a strong desire, and even an expression of excitement. In the sky, rolling demonic clouds whistled over. A ferocious demon god that was 10,000 feet tall, with 8 arms strode toward Shirtian. Wherever he went, even the magical beasts were trampled into dust. An 8-armed demon god. The aura emitted by the 8-armed demon god was enough to prove that he was a great demon god. He was comparable to a great monster. He held 8 weapons in his hands: a demonic mirror, a demonic spear, a demonic saber, a demonic mountain, and a demonic chain, a demonic sword, even a battle axe and an ancient seal. Vast demonic aura was constantly emitted and filled the surroundings. The terrifying aura seemed to be able to crush everything in front of him. The demonic aura was so vast that it could almost cover the sky. Obviously, Shirtian's wanton massacre had truly attracted the attention of the demon god. It should be known that magical beasts were the lowest existences on the demon god continent. They were just slaves enslaved by the demon god clan. However, their reproductive ability was quite amazing. Therefore, the demon god clan had always treated them as the vanguard on the battlefield. They could often explode with shocking effects, deplete the opponent's strength. The 8-armed demon god was a member of the demon god clan. However, it was also the lowest demon god clan. It was a lower demon god. Even so, the aura emitted by this demon god was still a strong deterrent to Shirtian. Submit to a demon god? That was just a joke. Standing on the back of the Emperor Phoenix, he coldly looked at the 8-armed demon god. He could feel the oppressive aura from the demon god, but he was not the least bit moved. The Emperor's aura enveloped his entire body. As an emperor, How could he submit to any expert? The Emperor Phoenix was the king of all beasts. How could he be afraid? Instead, he raised his head high. Fight, eight-armed demon god. If you want to eat my flesh, you have to exchange it with your life. Today, Tion coldly looked at the demon god. The tiger soul in his hand was sharp. He pointed it forward and said indifferently, I will kill you. TSK, you are just an ant in front of this demon god. Die for this demonic god. The great demonic god let out a few angry shouts, and his anger soared to the sky as he rushed in front of Sakura. The 8 arms waved, and the demonic arm that held the ancient seal smashed down on him. The ancient seal in his hand was at least a few hundred feet in size. When it smashed down, the void under the seal shook violently. Extreme Emperor Seal, Celestial Demon Seal. Tion coldly snorted. With a thought, a talisman in the black lotus in his body vibrated rapidly. A mysterious force emerged and quickly formed an ancient seal in his hand. Celestial demon inscriptions appeared on the ancient seal. It quickly expanded and exuded a shocking power. It suddenly attacked the ancient seal that the demon god was smashing down on him. Extreme Emperor Dao, Celestial Demon Morning. Tion shouted in a low voice. He did not care if the celestial demon seal could block the great demon god's attack. He stared at the demon god and waved the tiger soul in his hand. In an instant, countless slashes were made. Endless sorrow and death swept out from the saber. The talisman in the black lotus vibrated again. The tiger soul's saber radiance exploded and burst out for thousands of feet. Countless celestial demons flew out from the saber and madly devoured the endless desire and power of the demon god. They waved their sabers and cut through space. It was as if they wanted to cut the space in front of them into countless pieces. These celestial demons slashed at the great demon god. Monthly votes. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 573. The gods and devils were incomparably ferocious, and every single one of them had a powerful battle prowess that was comparable to Sakura. Thousands of gods and devils with similar battle prowess appeared and brandished their battle sabers. Following the trajectory of heaven and earth, they slashed out terrifying saber scars that even shattered the void. Tion's cultivation was comparable to a peak demon king. It was equivalent to thousands of peak demon kings attacking the 8-armed demon god at the same time. Bang! The divine demon seal collided with the 8-armed demon god's ancient seal. Amid the loud noise, the void was stirred up, and the terrifying shockwaves caused the surrounding space to be annihilated. One was a demon god's demonic treasure, while the other was a peerless, unique skill. When they collided, it was as if neither side was willing to give an inch. The mighty force that erupted blocked the demon god's arrogant aura. They were constantly entangled. At the same time, countless sabers instantly covered the 8-armed demon god in saber radiance. Damn it! Do you think these little tricks can hurt this demonic god? I'm going to kill you, little demon. The 8-armed demon god was furious and stamped with rage. Obviously, he did not expect that an ant could block his attack and even counterattack. Shame. Extraordinary shame. The demonic flames in the demon god's eyes burned wildly. When he saw the sharp saber slashing towards him, he roared and waved the 8 arms in his hands. Suddenly, the demon weapons exploded with shocking demonic power. Like the wind and fire wheels, they protected him from top to bottom. Countless saber lights were smashed into pieces. Gaga. Demonic chi gushed out from the 8-armed demon god and condensed into terrifying demons. They surged toward the thousands of divine demons ferociously, trying to tear them into pieces. Powerful, too powerful. The demon god clan was simply born to be warriors. They had an unparalleled talent for battle, and their combat strength was far stronger than those of the same rank. In particular, their battle awareness was extremely strong. After blocking the attack, they did not hesitate to counterattack again. Their strength was comparable to a peak grand demon, and they had an oppressive advantage. Humph! Divine demon unification. Dishurtian's expression was cold. He roared, and the thousands of gods and demons immediately returned to the tiger's soul. With every god and demon that entered the tiger's soul, the saber's aura became even stronger. A boundless will of death instantly swept through the heaven and earth. It enveloped the fiend celestials in an overwhelming manner. The killing intent in the hearts of countless demonic beasts ceased as countless sorrowful scenes appeared in their minds. Magical beasts were still fine. After all, some of them only knew how to kill. His consciousness was affected, but it only caused the beast horde to pause for a moment before they recovered. With this pause, the pressure on the demonic beasts was greatly reduced. They took the opportunity to kill countless demonic beasts on the spot. Roar! Inside the tiger's soul saber, a black tiger with wings on its back roared at the sky and burst out with resplendent divine light. The saber light that shot out instantly solidified and turned into an incomparably huge tiger soul. The fierce aura directly suppressed the 8-armed demon god's arrogance on the spot. With the fusion of several thousand god fiends, Tiger Soul's aura immediately rose to that of a greater demon, the peak of greater demon, and a demon saint. The boundless mighty force and the saber light that shot out caused the void to tremble violently as it was continuously sliced apart. Countless terrifying cracks appeared. With the tiger's soul in hand, Dishurtian stood on the back of the Emperor Phoenix. The black hair behind his head fluttered wildly without any wind, as though he was an invincible emperor, suppressing the heavens. Impossible! How could a mere ant have such powerful strength? I am a fiend celestial, the greatest fiend celestial clan in the chaotic world. Mere demonic beasts are all food in the mouth of us fiend celestials. Sky Demon Mirror. The 8-armed demon god saw the terrifying mighty force that instantly erupted from the tiger's soul. Although the saber light did not slash down, it had already caused terrifying wounds to appear on his body. Demonic blood splattered everywhere. The demonic beasts that were originally like ants had suddenly become so powerful that they could suppress him. This scene made him furious on the spot. Demonic flames spewed out of his eyes. He held the pitch-black mirror in his hand and shone it at Dishurtian. Sky Demon Mirror. It was the most powerful demonic treasure in this fiend celestial's possession. At this moment, he did not hold back and directly activated its power. Under the illumination of the Sky Demon Mirror, Dishurtian only felt the scene in front of him change. Countless sky demon women appeared in his mind. They were beautiful, and the beauty of their bodies could be vaguely seen. They danced gracefully and gently swayed their perfect waists. Boundless temptation emerged, and endless desire grew in his mind. There were also countless sky demon temptations. Money, wealth, status, power. All kinds of temptations instantly appeared in his mind. As long as his mind wavered, he would immediately be taken advantage of by the sky demon. He would be bewitched by the sky demon. If he did not indulge in his desires, he would be possessed by the devil. Even if he was slightly distracted, it would be the most fatal thing on the battlefield. Insignificant skill. Using the sky demon to arouse the desires in my heart is simply displaying one slight skill in front of an expert. Desire is just a source of nourishment for my cultivation. All desires return to me. Dishurtian sneered as he looked at the demons dancing in front of him. The temptation of the sky demon was simply a joke. He was the emperor of desire. Any fiend celestial who used the sky demon to tempt him was a joke. He cultivated with the power of desire. If he was bewitched by desire, wouldn't that be the funniest joke in the world? With a cold shout in his heart, a battle saber naturally appeared and beheaded the sky demon in an instant, turning it into the purest power of desire. The black lotus in his body spun and devoured it on the spot. It was unable to confuse him in the slightest. I have killed humans and beasts. Today, I will kill a fiend celestial. Kill. Di Shirtian's expression was cold. He did not hold back at all. The tiger soul carried the power of thunder and drew a mysterious trajectory. It carried endless heavenly might as it slashed at the eight-armed fiend celestial. This saber contained the peak of power. It was comparable to the full-strength attack of a demon saint. It cut through the void with ease. No, impossible. How can this fiend celestial die in your hands? This fiend celestial is immortal. Kill. The eight-armed fiend celestial smelled the scent of death in an instant. A crazed look appeared on his face. His 8 arms danced like wind and fire wheels, shattering the void in front of him. Vast demonic power rolled toward Di Shirtian like a tidal wave. Endless demonic aura instantly enveloped his body, forming a terrifying demonic armor. Countless demonic runes appeared on the demonic armor. It was unknown how many devils were crazily surging on the magic armor. Crack! The huge tiger soul slashed at the 8-armed fiend celestial. Along the way, the demonic weapons in his hands were all shattered on the spot. 3 of his demonic arms were directly cut off. The sharpness of the tiger soul landed on the fiend celestial unstoppably. Back then, the tiger soul was refined from an indestructible body of the tiger tribe and various precious materials, including a strange spiritual material like the soul-devouring stone. It had the attribute of indestructibility, and its sharpness was unparalleled. In addition to a few consecutive transformations, it had already reached the peak of a profound-grade demon weapon and was only a short distance away from becoming an earth-grade divine weapon. Now, it was even displaying a supreme technique. The sharpness of its sharpness could split the heavens and earth. When it slashed at the 8-armed fiend celestial, the first thing that appeared under the blade was the strange demonic armor. Countless strange demonic runes appeared on the demonic armor, emitting waves of demonic light, trying to block the tiger's soul from the demonic armor. In the demonic armor, countless demons pounced out, wanting to destroy the tiger's soul. With your demonic blood, I will reach the peak of my path. Break! Di Shirtian's eyes were extremely cold as he spat out a sentence. The royal true force in his body surged into the tiger's soul like a tidal wave. In the void, the boundless power of desire continued to surge out and reinforce the tiger's soul. Roar! A domineering tiger roar came from the tiger's soul. The golden blade light was like a small sun, erupting with immeasurable power. Crack! With a forceful press of his hand, the tiger's soul spat out countless blade gleams, splitting the demonic armor on the spot. From top to bottom, the sharp blade slashed the gigantic 8-armed fiend celestial into 2 halves. The blade was pulled out and stood in midair. The tiger's soul emitted a strong suction force. In the 8-armed fiend celestial's body, streams of black demonic blood were drawn out and fell into the tiger's soul. The demonic body that was split into 2 halves fell to the ground in 2 halves. No, how can I be killed by a lowly race like the demon clan? I have the indestructible demon body. You can't kill me. The 8-armed fiend celestial's body revealed a demonic soul that was 10,000 feet long. The demonic soul roared and emitted a frenzied aura. With a loud roar, the demonic body that was split apart began to gather in the middle as if it had a life of its own. It wanted to form a body again. The demonic blood that was drawn out by the tiger soul and surging into the tiger's soul stopped and was about to return to the fiend celestial's body. Jailers, capture his demonic soul. Di Shirtian frowned slightly. With a wave of his hand, he gave the order to the jailers in the sky. Immediately, the more than 200,000 jailers waved the soul-restraining chains in their hands and descended from the sky. The pitch-black chains shuttled through the void and appeared directly in front of the fiend celestial. The chains reversed and quickly bound him. Whoosh! Hundreds of soul-restraining chains immediately bound the fiend celestial's limbs. They pulled hard. They forcefully pulled the gigantic fiend celestial out of the demonic body that was split into two. "Ants, how dare you capture my demonic soul? I'll tear all of you apart." The fury in the fiend celestial's eyes almost burned the entire world. The demonic aura on his body surged as he let out a terrifying roar. He pulled hard and pulled hundreds of jailers to his side. His 8 demonic arms danced sharply and directly tore the jailers apart. He opened his mouth and was about to devour the jailers. However, the moment the jailers were torn apart, they immediately turned into wisps of purple gas and dissipated. As long as the heavenly punishment divine, I was not destroyed, the jailers would not be destroyed. Moreover, in an instant, tens of thousands of soul-restraining chains quickly bound the fiend celestial's body from top to bottom. The soul-restraining chains emitted a strange power and restrained the fiend celestial. Tisk TSK. Quickly capture this fiend celestial into the infernal prison. Watch how I deal with you, Dar shouted as he rubbed his palms together. The tiger's soul swallowed the fiend celestial's blood and swept away the fiend celestial's body with a wave of its hand. Standing on the Emperor Phoenix, Di Shirtian's power was unparalleled. In the heavens and on the earth, only he reigned supreme. Regarding the matter of Chapter 569, it's my fault. At that time, I typed the wrong chapter and directly skipped it. However, it's only a problem with the chapter. Everything else is fine. Brothers, let's do our best. We've fallen to the bottom of the monthly votes list. Let's charge forward. Today, I'll continue with the third update. This is the first update. Everyone, please give me the motivation to fight. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 574. Exposing the demonic soul before Di Shirtian was like sending a lamb to the tiger's den. There was no time for him to show his might. The demonic soul was immediately taken into the nether prison, where nether suppressed it. No matter how strong the demonic soul was, it was still firmly suppressed in the nether prison. It was tied to a copper pillar and subjected to all kinds of torture. Nether Prison wanted to interrogate it about the demonic god continent and the cultivation techniques and secret techniques of the demonic gods. It wanted to dig out all its secrets. Ever since the underworld book fragment merged with the heavenly punishment, Nether knew that it would never be able to break away from Di Shirtian in this life. Thus, it changed its attitude and supported Di Shirtian wholeheartedly. This kind of interrogation was Nether Prison's forte. Let's see who can keep quiet under torture. After killing the 8-armed demonic god, the battle intent in Sakra's body surged. On the ground, the demonic weapons were shattered one after another. However, the demonic seal and the heavenly demonic mirror were still intact. They were not damaged, and it did not matter if they were intact or broken. With a wave of his hand, he took everything. He did not let go of any benefits. Standing proudly in the sky, I am the only sovereign. A natural aura of an emperor rose from Di Shirtian's body. Behind him, there was a vague image of an emperor. The tiger's soul devoured the demonic blood. The green pillar on the tiger's soul actually had a trace of blood. The tiger's soul's strength was increasing. It hummed softly, letting out a sound of desire and excitement. The tiger's soul wanted to drink blood. Crack! A terrifying saber mark split open on the pitch-black ground, creating a huge fissure. The loud boom startled the shocked fiends awake. All of them were somewhat dazed as they muttered, so strong. An 8-armed demonic god. That is an 8-armed demonic god. Every 8-armed demonic god that enters the fiendish demon battlefield is a powerful existence comparable to a great fiend. All along, only great fiends have been a match for them. To think that a fiend king killed one. Strong. Too strong. A peak fiend king could actually kill a great fiend. Legend had it that since ancient times, every race would have their own peerless geniuses. Bearing boundless fortune and countless fortuitous encounters, his aptitude could be said to be heaven-defying. He could fight against those stronger than him, challenge those stronger than him, and kill those stronger than him. Every one of them had the potential to become a heavenly fae, a peerless expert. Could he be such a peerless genius? Awesome, that was a good kill. God knows how many good men of our demon race have been slaughtered by the 8-armed demon god every time. Now, our demon race actually has a demon monarch that can directly kill a fiend celestial. Awesome, awesome. It's all worth it. As a demon, this is how it should be. Monarch Chi, he cultivates the Tao of monarchs. Could it be that a great monarch is going to be born in our race? Haha, it doesn't matter whether he is or not. As long as he can kill the demon god, there's nothing wrong with honoring such an expert as a great emperor. Killing a fiend celestial with a fiend celestial as a fiend celestial was a heaven-defying act. It ignited the hot-blooded flames in the hearts of countless fiend celestials. An earth-shattering fighting spirit erupted from his body. Kill! The demon monarchs roared, venting their boundless hot-bloodedness on the demonic beasts. The surging blood in their bodies needed to be cleansed by the smell of fresh blood. Under the might of killing the 8-armed demon god, Sakura's entire body seemed to have become incomparably tall in an instant. A kind of transcendence, an unparalleled loftiness that towered above the world, soared into the sky. Monarch, this is a true monarch. Those who obey me will live, and those who oppose me will die. If I say I will kill you, I will kill you. No matter how strong you are, I will drag you down from your high horse before me. Those who disobey me will be killed without mercy. You are seeking death. In the fiendish demon battlefield, the 8-armed demon god enslaved countless demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were just slaves, cannon fodder. However, the 8-armed demon god was the master, the true strong existence on the battlefield. He was an expert that dominated the battlefield. Less than 100 demon gods dared to start a war here. They relied on their status and strength. No matter how many demonic beasts died, those 8-armed demon gods would not show any pity. They would not feel any heartache. However, the death of a demon god was a shocking matter to the demon god race. Almost at the instant the demon god died, some of the demon gods on the fiendish demon battlefield sensed it. They all looked over and saw the jailers capture the demon god's soul. Even the demon god's body was taken away by D. Shirtion. What these demon gods could not accept the most was that the one who killed the demon god was actually an insignificant fiend king. If a great fiend was killed by an evenly matched opponent, they would not feel too angry. However, a fiend king actually killed the demon god. To them, this was simply a great humiliation. The dignity of the demon gods was ruthlessly trampled on. Boom! After a furious roar, a pitch-black demonic light pierced towards D. Shirtion. Howl! The Emperor Phoenix saw the demonic light. The demonic light actually shot out from the eyes of an 8-armed demon god. It was extremely strong, even piercing through the void. If it really landed on its body, it would probably blast a huge hole in its fiend body. The might and pressure coming from that demon god was even stronger than the previous one. It was actually not a great demon god, but a great demon monarch. That was a strong existence comparable to a fiend sage. This great demon monarch was originally overseeing the rear of the demon god race. He led the entire army. To think that the Emperor Phoenix saw D. Shirtion directly kill a demon god on its side. How terrible was that? The demonic fire in its heart was about to burn itself up. A demonic light shot out of its eyes, wanting to blast that loathsome fiend to death. However, how could the Emperor Phoenix tolerate someone provoking it in front of it? It cried out loudly, and the 3 divine lights behind it surged. At this moment, the Emperor Phoenix's combat prowess was not simple. It had digested the 100 source of life it obtained until now. Most of its essence had merged into the 3 divine lights behind it. The might of the divine lights was unparalleled. If it were a fiend king, it would be able to crush him in one move. It was not afraid of great fiends. Even if it could not win, it could run. When it used the three divine lights, it was even stronger. With its flash, scarlet, blue, and purple alternated. With a whoosh, countless ripples appeared in the void. It caused the demonic light to slow down. Ice and fire alternated tens of thousands of times in succession, obliterating its ferocious flames. When it arrived in front of Chertion, the demonic light had already become extremely weak. Chertion flicked his finger at the demonic light. As if he was flicking a small flame, the demonic light completely dissipated on the spot. Provocation. This was a naked provocation. Lowly Fiend King, you are provoking this demon monarch. If I, demon monarch Chertion, can't kill you today and imprison my fiend soul in the 9 underworlds, I will be that dung beetle. Demon monarch. This was a great demon monarch. In the 8-armed demon god race, he was known as the Emperor Chi Sky Demon. He was a powerful existence comparable to a fiend sage, especially a demon god's demonic body, which was often stronger than the fiend race. Seeing Chertion's provocative actions, he immediately flew into a rage. He roared and stood up, a battle spear appearing in his hand. There were countless strange and mysterious demonic patterns on the battle spear, flickering with an ancient aura. A destructive aura flowed out from the battle spear. Destruction. Destruction. This was the will that was condensed in the battle spear. The will to destroy everything. The Emperor Chi Sky Demon's demonic body was huge. Like a terrifying demonic mountain, he strode toward Chertion, breaking through the void. The battle spear in his hand was thousands of feet long. He directly stabbed forward. The battle spear was incomparably sharp. A pitch-black spear light directly pierced the void and pierced toward Chertion's chest. That kind of destructive and terrifying will shatter the void. Waving the battle spear could shatter the void. Demon monarch. This was the powerful combat strength of a demon monarch. With one spear, the whole world instantly lost its color. It was as if, in an instant, only the battle spear existed in the whole world. Danger. Extreme danger. In an instant, Chertion's heart beat wildly. He smelled the scent of death. A demon monarch, a terrifying demon monarch. What a terrifying battle spear. Even in the God's Fall abyss, he didn't have such a terrifying feeling. He felt that if he was really pierced by this battle spear, even he would be instantly turned into dust by the destructive will contained in the battle spear. He would completely die. A demon monarch was scary, but this battle spear was even scarier. You want to take my life? You're not worthy. Chertion's eyes shone with madness. With his temperament, he would not submit to any expert. He coldly said, "Only I can decide my life. A mere demon monarch is not worthy." Boundless arrogance surged, and a domineering aura soared into the sky. Extreme Emperor Emblematic Seal. Celestial Demon Seal. A celestial demon seal instantly formed. It was abnormally simple, and it suddenly smashed toward the battle spear. Crack! That celestial demon seal, which could almost suppress a great demon, was pierced through by the battle spear and turned into dust. It only made the battle spear pause for a moment. It pierced forward again. Extreme Emperor Emblematic Seal. Emperor Emblematic Seal. Extreme Emperor Emblematic Seal. Taudai Seal. Extreme Emperor Emblematic Seal. Extreme Happiness Seal. Chertion went completely crazy. With a thought, the talismans in his body completely exploded. Ancient seals that suppressed the void continuously smashed toward the battle spear. Shatter, shatter. Everything that blocks in front of the battle spear will be destroyed. The battle spear contained an indestructible will. This will wasn't strong and could even be said to be weak. However, within this will, there was an indomitable will, a pure energy that could destroy everything and shatter all living things. In front of this will and power, any other power would be crushed into pieces. 3 ancient seals were crushed by the battle spear one after another. However, the burst of power also caused the battle spear to lose more than half of its sharpness. Extreme Emperor Emblematic Seal. Death of gods and demons. Break for me. Tion roared, and the tiger's soul in his hand slashed out like a bolt of lightning. At the moment when the thousands of gods and demons in the saber rushed out, it absorbed a huge amount of power and quickly returned to the saber. The aura in the tiger's soul immediately expanded and rushed to the demon's saint level. It was like the blade of judgment in the hands of an emperor. It broke through all thorns. Boundless mighty power was brewing in the saber. Clang! The battle spear and the tiger's soul collided. In an instant, the destructive will in the battle spear and the supreme dominance in the tiger's soul collided and intertwined. Boundless mighty power clashed again and again. The surrounding void was destroyed, healed, destroyed, and healed again and again. It was completely annihilated. How? The Emperor Phoenix's body sank as a vast force of demon god bounced back. Unable to withstand it, it was thrown back on the spot. Second update, let's fight together with me. Monthly votes. Monthly votes are the driving force. Third watch, there's still a third watch. No matter how late it is, I will complete it. Today, a brother directly gave me 4 monthly votes. Just for this, I have to send it to third watch no matter what. To be continued. If you want to know the rest, please go to www.chijian.com. I support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 575. Rumble. At the same time, Indra and the Imperial Phoenix under him were blasted back by the terrifying power of destruction that erupted from the battle spear. It was not that they wanted to retreat, but they were directly pushed back by a mighty force. As they retreated, the space behind them collapsed, and countless terrifying earth, fire, water, and wind forces erupted. Behind them was a pitch-black, 10,000-meter-tall mountain. They crashed into it. For that mountain to be in the fiendish demon battlefield, it was clearly not an ordinary mountain. However, they crashed into it. The instant they crashed into it, the fiend refining cauldron in Tian's body spun wildly, transferring that terrifying destructive force from his body to the mountain. Boom! The entire mountain shattered. It shattered inch by inch. That demon monarch was too terrifying. The battle spear was even more terrifying. The destructive power it contained was being worn down by the 4 ancient seals. Even though Tiger Soul had used the demonic god's mourning, it was still unable to completely seal off the spear's edge and was blasted several thousand feet away. The force inside could even shatter the mountain. Terrifying, truly terrifying. That battle spear was born purely for the sake of destruction. Ant, you should be honored to die under the great destruction battle spear. The blazing sky demon monarch's huge demonic body stepped through the air. Every step it took shattered the space under its feet. It carried a supreme demonic might, pressing over with an overwhelming force. The mountain trembled under its demonic might, and the sun and moon dimmed. It was like a giant issuing judgment to heaven and earth. His demonic hair danced crazily in the wind, and countless demons clustered around him. It served as a foil to its supreme demonic might. Every step it took seemed to carry the power of heaven and earth. No one could muster any will to resist. Just its aura alone could crush the physical body of a weak person. If you want to kill me, let's see if you have the ability. Heavenly tribulation, descend. The mountain peak crumbled, and in the blink of an eye, the tricolor divine light danced and rose directly from the mountain peak into the sky. The Emperor Phoenix's expression was still extremely arrogant. Sakura stood on its back, holding the tiger soul in his hand. His face was cold, and his eyes were so cold that it seemed to be able to freeze the entire void in an instant. He spat out these words with a hint of madness. Within the demon residence, the demon refining cauldron began to spin at an unprecedented speed. A terrifying buzzing sound was emitted from the 5th grade Black Lotus. An earth-shattering demonic aura soared into the sky and pierced through the clouds, shaking the stars. The aura of the peak was released without reservation. Crack! In the void, countless bolts of lightning flashed wildly. Large patches of dark clouds formed out of thin air and quickly gathered together, connecting together and covering the heavens and earth. A vast amount of pressure surged out from it and spread out in all directions. Countless bolts of lightning shuttled back and forth. A terrifying rumble of thunder could be heard faintly. Tribulation clouds. These were tribulation clouds. Tion actually triggered the heavenly tribulation at this moment. At the peak of the fourth transformation realm, he had the ability to trigger the heavenly tribulation at any time. Originally, he had planned to wait until the perfect world seed was nurtured before going through the heavenly tribulation in one go and swallowing the world seed. With the help of the world seed's mighty power, he might be able to directly break through to the sixth transformation realm on the basis of the fifth transformation realm. He might even surpass the limit again and rely on the never-before-seen world seed's power to jump 2 realms in succession and directly charge into the seventh transformation realm, the great ancient demon realm. Every step was carefully planned. Before this, he had already thoroughly planned it out. However, at this moment, he was actually facing a great demon emperor directly. Perhaps if it was just a great demon emperor, he might not be afraid and could rely on various divine abilities and methods to deal with the great demon emperor. However, the one in front of him was not just a great demon emperor. The most terrifying thing was that great destruction spear. It was even more terrifying than a great demon emperor. It was a powerful demon weapon. It was born purely for destruction and destruction. The moment he faced it, the fierce aura that secretly locked onto his divine soul made him clearly understand that this spear was not an ordinary demon weapon. It could even lock onto his divine soul. Even if he had an inner world now, if he hid in it, it would follow him in and kill him on the spot. Running away was not the best solution. I can't beat you with a 4th transformation realm seed. Then I'll break through to the 5th transformation realm seed. Tian's heart surged with a heaven-defying thought, and countless crazy thoughts flashed through his mind. Heavenly tribulation. He wanted to go through the heavenly tribulation at this moment. At the same time, he wanted to borrow the power of the heavenly tribulation to directly kill the sea of demonic beasts around him. The heavenly tribulation clouds were rapidly converging. A 5-colored light appeared. It seemed that the heavenly tribulation clouds were actually the 5 elements heavenly tribulation. Quick, quick, that blazing sky demon emperor wants to kill the peerless genius of the demon clan. We can't let him succeed. Quickly go and inform the demon saint. No, Lord Sky Demon. He's crazy. What is he trying to do? Why is he going through the heavenly tribulation at this time? Even if he borrowed the power of the heavenly tribulation to prevent the great demon emperor from acting rashly during the heavenly tribulation here would attract the chi. The power of the heavenly tribulation would also increase. At that time, there will definitely be great danger. Is the peerless genius of the demon clan going to be destroyed just like that? Is the heavens going to kill the demon clan? For a moment, the most shocked ones were the demon kings. Their expressions changed drastically. They wanted to go over and help, but they were afraid that if they got close, the power of the heavenly tribulation would increase instantly. That would not be helping, but simply killing. Moreover, once they were targeted by the heavenly tribulation, even they could not escape. The heavenly tribulation could only rely on themselves. No one could help. Brat, you want to transcend the heavenly tribulation in front of me? How despicable. I will definitely kill you. Tian flew into a rage. The fury in his heart was about to ignite his body, ascending the tribulation directly in front of him. What position did Yi Futian place him in? Yi Futian simply had no demons in his eyes. Yi Futian was too lawless. The demon emperor's dignity was directly provoked. You want to transcend the heavenly tribulation? Today, I will definitely not let you do as you wish. I will break this bullshit heavenly tribulation. In front of the great destruction spear, even the heavenly tribulation will be shattered. Heavenly tribulation destroy I. Blazing Sky Demon Emperor looked at Tian with a cold smile. Although he had transcended the heavenly tribulation and entered the fifth transformation realm, he was still a demon king. It was impossible for him to cause any damage. However, this sort of contemptuous behavior completely enraged him. He did not want to give him the slightest chance at all. If you want to transcend the heavenly tribulation, do it in your next life. Great Destruction Spear, Sky Splitter. The demon emperor glanced at the heavenly tribulation in the sky coldly. The ancient spear in his hand was raised again. The tip of the spear pointed at the heavenly tribulation. His hand heavily stabbed forward. Boom! The great destruction power in the spear surged and pierced through the heavenly tribulation cloud. In the spear, the destruction power, along with the intent to destroy the sky, completely erupted. The pitch-black divine light blasted into the heavenly tribulation cloud. The heavenly tribulation cloud was formed by the power of heaven and earth. It was not ordinary. When it was attacked, countless lightning bolts erupted on the spot. The lightning bolts intertwined, turning the sky into a terrifying lightning domain. It violently collided with the destruction power. He did not have time to care about Di Shirtion. But he did not know that when Di Shirtion saw the demon emperor attacking the heavenly tribulation cloud and interrupting his heavenly tribulation cloud, the corner of his mouth pulled into a cold smile. What a joke! How could he not have a complete plan when facing a heavenly tribulation on the battlefield? He had long been prepared for this kind of situation. Humph! I want you to destroy the heavenly tribulation cloud. Others can kill with a borrowed knife, but I can also use the demon god's heavenly tribulation cloud. If you don't attack the heavenly tribulation cloud, I really can't scheme against you. Today, you will die. With strength and wisdom, even the demon emperor will die. Di Shirtion sneered in his heart. With his wisdom, how could he not have a perfect plan? He had already planned everything. The demon emperor's attack was the best development. If Blazing Sky did not attack, then what was the point of him facing the heavenly tribulation? With his strength, it was not difficult to face the fourth transformation realm demon tribulation. Once he passed it, he could step into the fifth transformation realm. With the supreme ability of the Imperial World's shocking book, his strength could instantly increase by 10 times. Just like now, although he was only at the fourth transformation realm, he was comparable to any peak Demon King expert. Once he reached the fifth transformation, his battle strength would directly step into the great demon realm. It was not impossible for him to fight against the demon emperor, and the current situation was even more advantageous to him. He had fallen into his own trap. With a cold smile, light flashed in his hand, and the jade green life altar appeared in front of him. On the altar, a world seed was placed at the center. It shone with sparkling divine light, and even the patterns on its surface became exceptionally clear. There were all kinds of inconceivable charm. He placed the life altar in front of him. Di Shirtion's hands moved quickly, and he quickly took out one treasure box after another. A large number of source seeds of life appeared like a tide. In the blink of an eye, 1,080 source seeds of life appeared. When Dark saw this, he could not help but shout in disbelief. Crazy D, you took out the life altar. Could it be that you want to upgrade the source seed of life to high grade at this time? Crazy, you are really crazy. Could it be that you want to borrow the power of the Blazing Sky demon god to survive this great tribulation? Good plan. Good calculation. TSK, good calculation. Dark was also an old monster, an old antique. He had seen so much of the world. His rich experience was unimaginable. The moment he took out the life altar, he immediately guessed his overall plan. He could not help but admire him. Di Shirtion's triggering of the tribulation was just a pretense. His true goal was to anger Chi Tian and make him attack the tribulation clouds. A fourth transformation realm tribulation cloud would definitely not be able to block the Great Destruction Spear. It would definitely be shattered. However, this did not matter. What he wanted was not to pass the tribulation, but to really drag Chi Tian down. The life altar and upgrading the source seed of life were his true goals. The Blazing Sky demon god was very strong, especially with that terrifying Great Destruction spear in his hand. It was enough to directly suppress experts of the same level. Such an attack was not something Shurtion could block for the time being. And the heaven-defying action of upgrading the source seed of life would attract a terrifying tribulation. It was also not something he could block now. It did not matter if he could not block it. He wanted to directly borrow Chi Tion's power to deal with that terrifying Great Tribulation. Crazy, this idea was not just ordinary crazy. The third update has been delivered. My promise has been fulfilled. Brothers, where is the support? Where are the monthly votes? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 576. He was able to analyze the situation in an instant and set up a plan to turn the situation around. He even wanted to borrow the enemy's strength to achieve what he couldn't. His intelligence was simply like that of a ghost fox. Intelligence alone wasn't scary. Strength alone wasn't scary either. The scariest thing was that he had both strength and intelligence. He could set up a terrifying killing trap anytime and anywhere. Take the current situation, for example. First, he looked down on and angered the Demon Emperor, causing the Demon Emperor to be entangled with the heavenly tribulation. Then, he took the opportunity to trigger the heavenly tribulation of the source of the world. When the Demon Emperor was caught off guard, the two heavenly tribulations overlapped. The heavenly tribulation would directly attack the Demon Emperor, believing that he was the one who helped the source of the world to pass the heavenly tribulation. The Demon Emperor was directly trapped in the trap. Humph! A small heavenly tribulation is like an ant in front of me. Destroy. Chi Tion had a smug look on his face. It was as if he could already see the despair and unwillingness of the Demon Emperor after he destroyed the heavenly tribulation. There was a fire burning in his heart. It was unusually carefree. The pleasure of stepping on the Demon Emperor under his feet was wonderful. The Great Destruction spear had already blasted into the heavenly tribulation cloud. The domineering power of destruction continued to shatter the five-colored heavenly tribulation cloud. It was going to be smashed into powder before the heavenly tribulation cloud was completely formed. Humph! You still don't know that you've fallen into my trap. Today I'll kill you. Shurtion sneered. He quickly sent the source of life into the life altar. Immediately, the life altar began to flicker with emerald light, enveloping the entire altar in the blink of an eye. Under the power of the altar, it directly reversed the essence of life into the most wondrous power of creation in the world. The power of creation was continuously poured into the source of the world under the power of the life altar. Suddenly, the source of the world emitted a strange divine light. An invisible force spread out. Boom! Chi Sky Demon directly shattered the heavenly tribulation. Just as he was about to retrieve his spear, the heavenly tribulation cloud in the void suddenly began to gather again. It was as if the spear didn't completely shatter it and was about to merge again. Break for this emperor! Chi Tion saw this, and his face fell. Without hesitation, the spear in his hand burst with divine light again. It surged and blasted the heavenly tribulation cloud to completely shatter it. Boom, boom, boom. However, the clouds began to gather at an unbelievable speed, condensing in an instant. Bolts of lightning that flickered with golden light fell like raindrops, directly bombarding the Great Destruction spear. The golden bolts of lightning did not contain the power of gunmetal. Instead, they seemed to contain supreme righteousness, holiness, and a vast presence that could kill all evils. It bombarded the Great Destruction spear. The mighty power contained in the thunder and lightning completely erupted. With a boom, the surrounding void was transformed into a domain of lightning. Every thunderbolt hit the battle spear and collided violently with the destructive power of the battle spear. Immediately, a large area of the void was annihilated. Bang! The power that erupted from the thunderbolt was reflected back onto Chi Tion's body from the battle spear. Chi Tion's terrifying body couldn't help but tremble violently. He took a step back, and this single step caused countless dents and terrifying cracks to appear on the ground. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. It was as if they were about to completely collapse. Even the countless demons howling around him couldn't help but reveal a fearful expression, as if they were abnormally afraid of the thunderbolt. No, this isn't the heavenly tribulation that should appear when a demon king is undergoing a tribulation. It's the demon slaying divine thunder. Damn it! How can this be the demon slaying evil, destroying heavenly tribulation? Even great demons can encounter such a heavenly tribulation. The Chi Sky Demon Emperor's expression became rather ugly on the spot. The anger in his mind slightly subsided. Thinking about it in his mind, his heart thumped. I fell into a trap. Damn it! I fell into that little demon king's trap. He didn't want to undergo a tribulation at all. He wanted to use the heavenly tribulation to kill me. He turned his head and swept his gaze over Di Shirtian's location. When he saw it, he was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. A jade-green altar exuded a rich life force. A source seed of the world stood in the middle of the altar, constantly absorbing a large amount of the power of creation. The heavenly tribulation in the sky was vaguely locked onto that life altar. How could he not know that this little ant was playing him like a monkey? Ant, you actually dared to scheme against I. I will definitely grind your bones to dust. I'm furious. Eyes furious. Eyes furious. A ball of raging fury burned in Chi Tion's heart. Two pitch-black, demonic flames spurted out of his nose, as if they were about to burn the world. His eyes were crimson red, emitting a bloodthirsty glow. He was thoroughly enraged. The Demon King's dignity was being trampled on. He raised his demonic arm, and the battle spear flashed with a dazzling demonic light. He was about to pierce Di Shirtian with the spear. However, the battle spear moved, and the tribulation clouds in the void rolled violently. Vast mighty power crazily spread in all directions like a tide. Crack! From the tribulation clouds, a bolt of divine thunder as thick as a bucket turned into an angry dragon, roaring and attacking Chi Tion. The divine thunder contained a terrifying demon-slaying power. Demon-slaying divine thunder. This was the most terrifying type of divine thunder against demonic cultivators in the world. This type of divine thunder was formed by the boundless righteousness of heaven and earth, and even the majesty of heaven and earth. It had an unparalleled, terrifying power against demons. It was like a needle against an all against demonic energy. The divine thunder that erupted could eliminate demonic energy. The heavenly tribulation in the sky was the demon-slaying divine thunder. Its power was enough to make even demon saint-level experts fearful. Its power was extremely terrifying. Originally, this heavenly tribulation was targeted at the life, altar, and world source seed. However, when the tribulation clouds formed, Chi Tion was attacking the heavenly tribulation. On the spot, the heavenly tribulation turned into the demon-slaying divine thunder tribulation, and instantly treated Chi Tion as the heaven-defying one who protected the life altar. The power of the heavenly tribulation almost instantly pressed down on Chi Tion. It completely locked onto his body. This movement immediately triggered the heavenly tribulation's reaction. The heavenly tribulation suddenly descended and attacked. Damn it! Chi Tion was furious. He raised his head and looked at the vast tribulation clouds above his head. He could clearly feel the vast pressure from the tribulation clouds. The heavenly tribulation had completely locked onto him. At this moment, other than dealing with the heavenly tribulation, he couldn't do anything to Di Shirtian. This simply added fuel to the fire that was already burning fiercely in his heart. He was furious. You little brat, wait until I destroy this damned tribulation cloud. Then I'll slowly deal with you. Chi Tion roared and slashed with the battle spear in his hand, smashing the divine thunder and dispersing it on the spot. However, his body was also struck by the lightning. In an instant, the demons outside his body were annihilated by countless lightning bolts on the spot, like snowflakes in summer. This demon-slaying divine thunder was the nemesis of demons. Di Shirtian sneered at Chi Tian while controlling the life altar to reverse the power of creation and pour it into the world source seed. There were only 108 grooves on the life altar. Therefore, only 108 seeds could be placed in at a time, and they were placed in 10 times. Moreover, it was very important to grasp the connection between them. There couldn't be the slightest bit of carelessness. Good, good, good. The crazy emperor is indeed the crazy emperor. As expected, he's still so crazy. Dark clicked his tongue and laughed strangely. This Chi Sky Demon Emperor is unlucky to have met you. He's destined to die. He didn't even have the ability to resist after being schemed against by you. He obediently helped you block the heavenly tribulation. Amazing, truly amazing. Seeing Di Shirtian leisurely adding source seeds to the life altar and watching the battle between the Demon Emperor and the heavenly tribulation, even Dark felt a little sad for Chi Tian. A dignified Demon Emperor, an expert comparable to a Demon Saint, and with the Great Destruction Battle Spear, he could even hold up against a Sky Demon. However, he was actually schemed against to help the enemy block the heavenly tribulation. If it was anyone else, they would probably vomit blood on the spot. Bullshit demon punishing divine lightning. Before the Great Destruction Battle Spear, all of them will be destroyed by I break. Break! Break! Chi Tian roared furiously. The battle spear in his hand crazily bombarded the demon punishing divine lightning that was coming at him from all directions. The demon god's power in his body continuously poured into the battle spear, activating the great destruction while in the battle spear, crushing the divine lightning. However, this heavenly tribulation was simply targeting the demon god. One after another, they continued to attack. Every single one of them contained a terrifying amount of power. Moreover, each of them was stronger than the last. Crack! The tribulation clouds rolled and divine lightning fell again. However, this time, the divine lightning turned into a 1,000-foot-long battle blade and slashed down. Break for me! Chi Tian's hair was disheveled. All kinds of weapons and demonic treasures appeared on his 8 demonic arms. Demonic flames filled the sky. He roared and swung his battle spear forward, smashing it against the battle blade. Bang! A terrifying power erupted. Countless lightning bolts swept out from the battle blade and extended along the battle spear, bombarding Chi Tian. Blazing sky demon domain. Chi Tian's body suddenly turned pitch black. He was suddenly shrouded in darkness. A strange world appeared in the darkness. In the world, countless demonic chi rolled, countless demon gods prayed, and thousands of demons danced. At the same time, countless tyrannical demonic chi emerged from their bodies, filling the entire world. When a lightning fell, the blazing sky demon domain blocked the divine lightning. A terrifying roar erupted. Although the demonic area trembled violently, it managed to block the divine lightning outside its body. It seemed that in the demon domain, there was endless demonic power pouring into Chi Tian's body. Damn heavenly tribulation! You have completely angered this demon emperor. Blazing sky demon domain, pour your power into I. Chi Tian was furious and roared. In the blazing sky demon domain outside his body, countless demons were praying. They poured their power out without reservation and poured it into Chi Tian's body. It was continuously applied to the Great Destruction Battle Spear. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Under the infusion of the countless demon gods' power, the ancient demonic patterns on the surface of the battle spear suddenly began to flow. It was as if they had become alive in an instant. It was like billions of tadpoles swimming. An ancient and vast aura slowly awakened from the battle spear. I don't know why, but I'm weak today. Everyone, give me some motivation. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 577. Countless demonic runes gathered together and formed two mysterious ancient seals on the battle spear. The ancient seals contained a terrifying power of destruction. The words on the seals were destruction, buzz. The battle spear seemed to have awakened from a deep slumber. The strong will of destruction burst out with endless power. The spear shook, and the space around the battle spear was like a crystal mirror. Countless terrifying cracks appeared in the space around the battle spear, and they quickly spread out in all directions. With a cracking sound, the spear shattered into millions of pieces. Destruction. Destruction of everything. A will of destruction and destruction shot out from the battle spear. Dazzling divine light instantly enveloped the spear. It was as if there was a great destruction demon god within the spear. The will of destruction was enough to shatter the entire void. It spread in all directions and instantly enveloped the entire fiendish demon battlefield. In an instant, countless demonic beasts on the battlefield lay on the ground in fear. Their bodies trembled nonstop. The demon kings on the battlefield felt a terrifying aura of destruction enveloping them. They did not even dare to move. They felt that if they moved, the power of destruction would instantly destroy them. The air on the battlefield was heavy and oppressive. It was as if everything had been imprisoned in an instant. The battlefield, which had been filled with the sounds of killing, became strangely silent. It was as if the body immobilization art had been cast on them. Their hearts pounded wildly as they looked at the ancient spear in shock. They felt that as long as it was casually swung forward, it could shatter the void, destroy everything, and shatter everything. All the light in the world seemed to have gathered on Chi Tian in an instant. The vast tribulation clouds in the sky were also tumbling violently, brewing the most powerful attack. It wanted to kill the demon god below, who dared to challenge the heavenly Tao. Crack! The tribulation clouds tumbled violently. Suddenly, they gathered toward the center rapidly. The tribulation clouds in the sky condensed into a cloud that was only 1,000 feet wide. The entire tribulation cloud turned into tribulation lightning. It condensed into a huge golden millstone. Countless lightning bolts intertwined on the millstone, forming the patterns on the millstone. A vast pressure was emitted from the millstone like a tide. It was extremely terrifying. Countless living beings were pressed to the ground. No one could stand in midair. Boom! The golden grindstone started to spin slowly. As it spun, it caused the surrounding space to distort and shatter. Countless bolts of lightning accompanied it, shuttling back and forth. An unparalleled might suppress the entire area. It spun towards Chi Tian unceremoniously, and with every inch it fell, the vast pressure increased by countless times. This grindstone was meant to crush and obliterate Chi Tian's existence. It contained the supreme power of the heavenly tribulation, and was a tribulation artifact formed by countless demon slayer, divine thunders. The great annihilation spear is invincible, and capable of destroying everything. Collapse the heavens. Sky-scorching demon emperor's eyes flashed with madness. He could feel that Zhang Deshang contained a terrifying power that could completely crush him. The aura of death reverberated in his mind. With his status, how could he resign himself to fate? With a roar, the battle spear in his hand also accumulated boundless energy. The power of great destruction circulated crazily within the battle spear. The will of annihilation could collapse the heavens. It shattered the entire vacuum. Boom! The battle spear pierced towards the golden grindstone that was pressing down from above. The battle spear was thousands of feet long, and it directly slammed into the grindstone. The grindstone trembled violently, and countless golden demon slayer divine thunders erupted. The entire sky was reflected as if the end of the world had arrived. It was abnormally terrifying. It shattered the vacuum. The power of the heavenly tribulation and the power of great destruction violently collided. For a moment, the surrounding space was completely shattered. Emperor Chi's sky demon's battle spear pointed at the grindstone. His feet stepped on the ground, and supreme, demonic power rolled over. It was as if he was indomitable, and he wanted to block and shatter the grindstone. However, although the grindstone was entangled with the power of destruction, it still exploded with astonishing power. It spun in circles, and with every circle, the surrounding space was moved. Endless power of heaven and earth pressed towards Chi Tian. Crack! Countless cracks appeared under Chi Tian's feet, and it began to collapse in an instant. His entire body was pressed into the ground under the pressure of the grindstone. Countless bolts of lightning followed the battle spear and blasted towards the huge demonic body. However, the power of great destruction was also crazily destroying the power of the heavenly tribulation. Bang! The grindstone fiercely crushed the demonic god into the ground. Even the grindstone itself was crushed into the ground. Terrifying rumbles sounded continuously from the ground. Huh! The source seed of the world, the upper-grade source seed of the world has indeed appeared. Since it can appear, it can definitely refine a perfect seed. Just at that moment, the radiance on the life altar suddenly dissipated. The sparkling and translucent jade-like seed on the altar was not only incomparably clear, but it also had a mystical spirituality. It was as if it was not a seed at all, but a life of its own. However, Lunatic D, you must not continue. If you increase it again, it will definitely attract the heavenly tribulation. At that time, there will be no demonic emperor for you to scheme against. Even a heavenly demon will be killed. Let's plan for the long term first. TSK. Let's see if the demonic emperor has been killed by the heavenly tribulation. Dark shook his head and shouted proudly. He was amazed by D. Shurkin's plan. Back in the ancient times, the heavenly tribulation had killed several ancient giants. However, the battle spear in Chi Tian's hand was really strange. It contained the will of great destruction and actually blocked the power of the heavenly tribulation. This battle spear was definitely the most terrifying killing weapon, a supreme treasure. One could feel the aura of desolation from it. D. Shurtian waved his hand and put away the life altar. He said, this advancement was originally to scheme against demonic Emperor Chi Tian and borrow his power to block the heavenly tribulation. At the same time, I also want to use the heavenly tribulation to kill him. I want to be the biggest winner. At this moment, he is being bombarded by the heavenly tribulation. Even if he can save his life with the battle spear in his hand, he will definitely be heavily injured. I want to go to the heavenly tribulation. I'm going to transcend my tribulation. This is the best opportunity to slaughter a devil emperor. A bright light flickered continuously in Xiao Chen's eyes. His face was filled with determination as he said softly, "Don't worry. Tribulation." He wanted to go through the tribulation again. Xiao Chen's fourth revolution fiend core could no longer allow him to deal with consecutive battles. He needed to break through to the fifth revolution fiend core. D. Shurtian was very clear that his cultivation was too low in the fiendish demon battlefield. Any random great demonic god could force him to use his full power. Now that a demon monarch was here, he wanted to crush him like an ant. How can this be? Absolutely not. To be an emperor, to rule the world, to stand at the peak of the world, to be an absolute overlord in every aspect. How could he be humiliated so casually? Strength, strong strength. To break through, he had to break through at all costs. Good. Given your current cultivation, comprehending the Tao on the Bodhi tree will greatly increase your cultivation. Furthermore, of the 7 emotions and 6 desires, 7 are the scariest. The 6 emotions and 6 desires are the easiest to overcome. With your current mental state, you can clear the test of seeing desires in the shortest time possible. Breaking through the heavenly tribulation will be a piece of cake for you. Nether chimed in agreement. Although Xiao Chun could fight against great fiends with his strength at the 4th refinement realm, he was still too weak. Once he broke through to the fifth refinement realm, his strength would soar again. His combat prowess would increase several-fold. Naturally, this would be for the best. After he consumed the world seed, his strength would soar again. He would directly charge to peak Fiend King. Huh! Tion looked up at the sky and shouted. Then, a strong aura burst out of his body again. Dense fiend chi surged into the sky like smoke signals. He directly released the aura of a peak fourth refinement realm beast core. Xiao Chun triggered the heavenly tribulation. Boom, 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 boom. The previous heavenly tribulation had just dissipated when a large number of tribulation clouds quickly gathered. In the blink of an eye, they gathered above Shirtian's head. They turned into 5-colored tribulation clouds. Another 5-element lightning tribulation. Fourth refinement realm beast core. Fifth stage black lotus. Rotate for me. Shirtian shouted. In a flash, he transformed into a black tiger that was thousands of feet tall. His fur shone with divine light and was gently distributed all over his body. A vast kingly aura spread out like a tide. On his forehead, the purple king mark flickered violently with divine light. Waves of majestic aura gushed out from the king mark. It suppressed every inch of space within a radius of thousands of feet. His muscles rippled under his fur like a horned dragon. Waves of tyrannical power flowed through his body. Under the continuous tempering, his demonic body had become so strong that it was shocking to hear. Although he was only a fiend king, it was no exaggeration to say that his fiend body was definitely comparable to that of a great fiend. And at the moment of crossing the tribulation, Sakura transformed into his original body and closed his eyes in an instant. His whole mind instantly appeared in the demon-refining cauldron in the fiend residence. In the cauldron, the fifth stage Black Lotus was rotating at an incredible speed. The fifth stage Black Lotus was emitting a powerful devouring force. It swept towards his mind, the realm of desire. This was the realm of desire in the Black Lotus, calling for him to go through the tribulation. Shirtian did not hesitate and directly threw himself into it. In his mind, the Imperial Tyrant Heart technique was circulating endlessly. He calmed his mind. Crack! Outside, the tribulation clouds in the sky were brewing and rolling. A golden heavenly tribulation blasted down on Shirtian. The lightning bolt that was as thick as a water bucket directly hit his body. On the spot, countless golden lightning instantly spread out in all directions. With a kind of sharpness, it actually burned a large part of his fur on the spot. Huff! However, Shirtian's eyes were still closed. Only his nose was breathing in and out in a strange way. The pores all over his body were constantly opening and closing as he breathed. When they opened, the lightning that fell on his body was directly absorbed into his body. Brothers, if you have a monthly ticket, throw it. Give me some stimulation. Give me some motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.